At 11:47 p.m. on a cold November night, a 26-year-old woman stands shaking in the private kitchen of Manhattan's most dangerous man, trying to scrub blood from beneath her fingernails while praying he doesn't notice she's been crying. She doesn't know it yet, but the monster who destroyed her just sent flowers to the lobby downstairs. And the man walking through the kitchen door behind her, cold, ruthless, untouchable, is about to become the only thing standing between her and annihilation. This is the story of how a maid with haunted eyes and a crime lord with perfect control turned a penthouse kitchen into a war room. If you want to see how far fear can push you before you finally push back, stay until the end. Hit that like button and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels. Pulse. The kitchen smells like lemon cleaner and something Serafina can't identify. Anxiety, maybe. Fear has a scent when it lives inside your chest long enough. She stands at the industrial sink with her sleeves rolled to her elbows, scrubbing at a wine stain that came out 20 minutes ago, but her hands won't stop moving because stopping means thinking. And thinking means remembering, and remembering means the panic comes back. The penthouse is silent except for running water and her own breathing, which she keeps deliberately quiet. Controlled. She learned years ago that loud breathing draws attention, and attention from the wrong person can ruin your entire week. It's 11:47 p.m. Cale Duvall's household staff left 2 hours ago. She stayed late because staying late means avoiding the subway, and avoiding the subway means fewer crowds, and fewer crowds means less chance of him finding her in a place with too many exits to monitor. She doesn't let herself think his name. The kitchen is her favorite room in the penthouse. 42nd floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan, like the city is something you can own if you're powerful enough. The counters are Italian marble. The appliances cost more than most people's cars. Everything here is beautiful and cold and controlled, which makes sense because Cale Duvall built his empire on beautiful, cold control. Serafina has worked here for 6 months. She sees Cale maybe twice a week, usually late at night when he comes home from wherever men like him go to do whatever men like him do. She knows the rumors. Everyone knows the rumors. Cale Duvall owns a chain of elite restaurants across Manhattan that allegedly function as fronts for money laundering, political favors, and transactions that never appear on paper. He's 34, impossibly wealthy, and so carefully insulated from consequences that even saying his name in the wrong room can get you hurt. But he's never hurt her, not once in 6 months, which is why she applied for this job in the first place. She needed to disappear into a place where no one would think to look for a woman trying to vanish. And working for a man rumored to be more dangerous than the person she was running from felt like hiding in plain sight. Predators don't hunt in each other's territory. At least that's what she told herself. The water runs hot over her hands. She stares at the steam curling upward and thinks about how easy it would be to just stand here forever, to stop running, to stop pretending she's fine. Then she hears it, the soft click of the kitchen door closing behind her. Her entire body locks up, hands frozen under the water, breath caught halfway down her throat. Every muscle pulls tight because that sound, that specific sound of a door closing when she thought she was alone, has preceded some of the worst moments of her life. She doesn't turn around, can't turn around. Her brain is doing the thing it does now where it calculates escape routes and measures distances and tries to figure out if running would make things worse. Then a voice cuts through the silence, low, calm, controlled. "Who did this to you?" Serafina's heart stops. She knows that voice. Cale Duvall, her employer, the man who pays her salary and never asks questions and maintains the kind of polite distance that makes her feel safe in a way she can't explain. She forces herself to turn around slowly, carefully, keeping her hands visible because sudden movements create misunderstandings and misunderstandings create consequences. Cale stands near the kitchen island wearing a charcoal suit that looks like it was tailored by someone who understands power as a language. His black hair is perfectly styled even at midnight. His pale gray eyes don't blink. He's holding a glass of whiskey in one hand, but he's not drinking it. He's just standing there, watching her. Serafina immediately drops her gaze to the floor. "I'm sorry, Mr. Duvall. I didn't realize you were home. I can finish this tomorrow." "Answer the questions." His voice doesn't rise, doesn't sharpen, but the command in it is absolute. Serafina's throat closes. She wants to lie. She's good at lying now. She's had years of practice constructing explanations that sound believable enough to end conversations before they go somewhere dangerous. But something about the way Kyle is looking at her makes lying feel impossible. "I don't know what you mean," she whispers. Kyle sets the whiskey glass down on the counter with a soft clink that makes her flinch. She hates that she flinched. Hates that her body betrays her like this. Hates that fear is something she wears visibly now, instead of hiding it the way she used to. He notices. Of course he notices. Cale Duvall doesn't miss anything. He crosses the kitchen slowly, deliberately, giving her time to track his movements. When he reaches the island, he doesn't come closer. Instead, he does something that stops her breath entirely. He pulls out one of the tall kitchen chairs, positions it carefully, and lowers himself onto the marble counter so he's sitting at her eye level. Not standing over her, not looming, not trapping her against the sink. He makes himself smaller, equal. Serafina stares at him, confused, terrified, desperately trying to understand what's happening because this doesn't fit any pattern she knows. Cale's expression doesn't change. His pale eyes remain fixed on her face with the kind of focus that makes her feel like he's reading her entire history in the space between heartbeats. "The bruise on your wrist," he says quietly. "The way you flinch when doors close. The fact that you're scrubbing a clean counter at midnight because you're afraid to go home." Serafina's hands start shaking. She shoves them behind her back. "I'm fine." "You're not." "Mr. Duvall, I really appreciate your concern, but who did this to you?" The question lands like a physical blow. Serafina feels something crack open inside her chest. She spent months building walls around the truth, constructing explanations and excuses, and carefully worded half-lies designed to keep people from asking follow-up questions. But Kyle isn't asking out of polite concern or passing curiosity. He's asking because he already knows the answer. He just wants to hear her say it. "It's complicated," she whispers. "It's not. You don't understand. Then explain it to me." Serafina's vision blurs. She blinks hard, refusing to cry in front of her employer, refusing to be weak, refusing to be the kind of woman who falls apart in kitchens at midnight. But Kyle doesn't look away, doesn't rush her, doesn't tell her to calm down or pull herself together or stop being dramatic. He just waits. And somehow that's worse than cruelty, because cruelty she understands. Cruelty has rules. You survive it by making yourself smaller, quieter, less visible. But this patient, relentless attention, she doesn't know how to survive this. "I had a boyfriend," she finally says. Her voice sounds hollow, distant, like it belongs to someone else. "His name was Adrian Mercer. We were together for 2 years. Cale's expression doesn't change, but something shifts in the air between them. A coldness that wasn't there before. Past tense, he notes. "I left 6 months ago." "And he's still looking for you." It's not a question. Serafina nods once, sharp and small. "He's a venture capitalist, very successful, very connected. Everyone loves him. He donates to charities. He mentors young entrepreneurs. He gives TED Talks about ethical leadership. But he's also the kind of man who tracks your location through your phone, who monitors your emails, who rewrites your memories until you can't trust your own thoughts." Her voice cracks. "He never hit me. Not once. That's what I kept telling myself. He never hit me, so it wasn't abuse. It was just, he cared too much. He worried. He wanted to protect me." Cale's jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. "How long did it take you to believe that?" Serafina laughs, bitter and broken. "Longer than it should have." The kitchen falls silent except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of traffic 42 floors below. Cale studies her for a long moment. Then he stands, smooth and controlled, and walks to the far end of the counter. He picks up his whiskey glass and drains it in one swallow. When he turns back to her, his expression is unreadable. "You're safe here," he says quietly. Serafina wants to believe him. She wants it so badly it hurts. But safety is a concept that stopped meaning anything real to her a long time ago. "You don't know him," she whispers. "Adrian he's careful. He doesn't make mistakes, and he doesn't stop." "Neither do I." The words land with absolute certainty. Cale crosses back to where she's standing and stops just far enough away that she doesn't feel cornered. His pale eyes hold hers without wavering. I need you to understand something, he says. You work for me now. That means you're under my protection, and I don't allow anyone to hurt what belongs to my household. Serafina's breath catches. She should probably be offended by the possessive language, by the implication that she's property to be protected. But all she feels is a desperate, fragile hope that maybe, just maybe, someone powerful enough to fight back actually will. What if he finds me? She asks. Kale's expression goes cold, elegant, lethal. Then he'll wish he hadn't. 3 days pass. Serafina works her normal shifts, cleaning rooms that don't need cleaning and organizing spaces that are already perfect. The household staff treat her the same as always, polite, professional, distant. No one mentions the conversation in the kitchen. No one asks questions. But things change anyway. Small things. The building's security codes are updated. New protocols appear overnight. The doorman starts checking IDs more carefully. Cameras are repositioned. Access logs are reviewed. No one explains anything to Serafina, but she notices. She always notices. On the fourth night, she's restocking the linen closet on the west wing when she hears voices coming from Kael's study. The door is cracked open just enough for sound to carry. She recognizes Kael's voice immediately. Low, controlled, dangerous. The other voice is unfamiliar, male, nervous. Already ran the background checks like you asked. Adrian Mercer, age 37, MBA from Wharton, founded 3 successful venture capital firms, net worth approximately $200 million. Reputation is spotless, no criminal record, not even a parking ticket. Keep looking. Mr. Duvall, with all due respect, I've been doing this for 15 years. If there was something to find, then you're not looking hard enough. Silence. Then the unfamiliar voice again, quieter now. What exactly are we looking for? Everything he buried, Serafina's hand still on the shelf. She knows she should move away. Stop listening. Pretend she didn't hear anything. But her feet won't cooperate. That could take weeks, the other man says carefully. You have 72 hours. Mr. Duvall. Dismissed. Footsteps approach the door. Serafina jolts into motion, grabbing an armful of towels and hurrying down the hallway before anyone sees her eavesdropping. Her heart hammers against her ribs. Kael is investigating Adrian. Actually investigating him. She doesn't know whether to feel relieved or terrified. That night she finds a book on the kitchen counter. Plain cover. No note. Just a book titled Coercive Control, How Men Entrap Women in Personal Life by Evan Stark. She stares at it for a full minute before carefully picking it up and carrying it back to her quarters. She reads until 4 a.m. Every page feels like someone describing her life with surgical precision. The isolation, the monitoring, the way Adrian convinced her that his cruelty was actually devotion, the way he made her doubt her own sanity. When she finally falls asleep, she dreams about being hunted through endless hallways while a voice she recognizes whispers that she'll never be safe. She wakes up gasping. 2 weeks later, her phone vibrates during her lunch break. Unknown number. She stares at the screen, paralyzed. It vibrates again. Then a message appears. I know where you are. The world collapses. Serafina's vision tunnels. Her hands go numb. The phone slips from her fingers and clatters onto the kitchen floor. No, 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 no. He found her. Adrian found her. 6 months of hiding. 6 months of careful invisibility. 6 months of rebuilding something that felt almost like safety. Gone. Her brain starts doing the calculations automatically. She could run, pack a bag, disappear again, change her name, find another city, another job, another life built on lies and fear. But she's so tired of running, so tired of being afraid, so tired of letting Adrian Mercer steal her future piece by piece. Before she fully realizes what she's doing, Serafina picks up the phone, walks out of the kitchen, and heads straight to the security office on the ground floor. The guard on duty, Marcus, mid-40s, former military, looks up in surprise when she enters. Miss Voss? Everything okay? I need to speak to Mr. Duvall, she says. Her voice sounds steadier than she feels. It's urgent. Marcus studies her face for half a second, then picks up his radio without asking questions. Mr. Duvall, Miss Voss is here, says it's urgent. Static. Then Kael's voice, crisp and immediate. Send her up. Monk. Kale's private office occupies the entire northeast corner of the penthouse. Floor-to-ceiling windows, minimalist furniture, a desk that looks like it was carved from a single piece of black walnut. When Serafina enters, Kyle is standing at the window with his back to the door, phone pressed to his ear, speaking in clipped sentences. I don't care what the zoning board says. Make it happen. No. Tonight? Because I'm telling you to. He ends the call and turns to face her. His expression shifts the moment he sees her face. What happened? Not a question. A command. Serafina crosses the room on unsteady legs and holds out her phone. Kyle takes it, reads the message, and goes absolutely still. The silence that follows is the most terrifying thing she's ever witnessed, because it's not empty. It's full of something cold and lethal that she can feel building like pressure before a storm. When Kyle finally speaks, his voice is soft, almost gentle. When did you receive this? 5 minutes ago. Have you responded? No. Good. He sets her phone down on his desk with careful precision. Sit. Serafina sits. Kale crosses to a cabinet, pours 2 glasses of water and hands her one. Then he pulls a chair around so he's sitting across from her instead of behind his desk. Equal height again. Equal ground. You did the right thing, he says quietly. Serafina's throat tightens. I should have... You did the right thing, Kale repeats. Coming here, showing me this, not trying to handle it alone. The validation hits her like a physical blow. She presses her palms against her eyes, trying desperately not to cry. Sorry, she whispers. For what? For bringing this to your door, for being a liability, for... Serafina. She looks up. Kale's pale eyes hold hers with absolute certainty. You are not a liability. You are a member of my household, and I protect what's mine. The possessiveness should bother her. It should trigger every instinct she developed during 2 years with Adrian. But it doesn't. Because Kale's version of protection doesn't feel like ownership, it feels like choice. What happens now? She asks. Kale stands and walks back to his desk. He picks up her phone, studies the message one more time, then sets it down and pulls out his own phone. Now, he says calmly, I make some calls. Kyle He looks at her. Really looks at her. And for the first time since she met him, she sees something human beneath the ruthless control. He threatened you on my property, Kyle says quietly. That makes this my problem. You don't have to... I know. The weight of those 2 words settles over the room. Kyle could ignore this. Could tell her to handle it herself. Could fire her to avoid the complication. Could do any number of things that would be reasonable from a purely practical standpoint. But he doesn't. Instead, he makes a call. Serafina sits frozen while Kyle speaks in low, controlled sentences to someone on the other end. Need a full workup. Financial records, travel history, communication logs. Yes, everything. I don't care what it costs. 48 hours. He ends the call and looks at her. Go back to your quarters. Don't leave the building. Don't respond to any messages. Don't answer calls from numbers you don't recognize. Okay? If anything else happens, anything at all, you come directly to me. Understood? Serafina nods. She stands, crosses to the door, then stops and turns back. Why are you doing this? Kale's expression doesn't change, but something flickers in his pale eyes. Something that might be anger, or might be something worse. Because no one did it for me, he says quietly. Before she can respond, he turns back to the window, phone already pressed to his ear again, making another call. Serafina leaves. That night, she can't sleep. She lies in bed staring at the ceiling while her mind runs through worst-case scenarios on an endless loop. Adrian knows where she is. Adrian is coming for her. Adrian will destroy everything she's tried to build. At 2:13 a.m., she gives up on sleep and walks to the kitchen. The penthouse is dark except for the ambient glow of the city filtering through the windows. She moves quietly through the hallways, her bare feet silent on the marble floors. When she reaches the kitchen, she stops in the doorway. Kyle is already there. He's sitting at the island in gray sweatpants and a black t-shirt, looking more human than she's ever seen him. His hair is slightly messed. His face is tired. He's drinking coffee and staring at a laptop screen with the kind of focus that suggests he's been working for hours. He looks up when she enters. Neither of them says anything for a long moment. Then Kale closes his laptop and gestures to the chair beside him. Serafina crosses the kitchen and sits. Kale pours her a cup of coffee from the French press without asking if she wants any. He adds cream and 1 sugar, exactly how she takes it, which means he's been paying attention. "Couldn't sleep?" he asks. "No." "Me neither." They sit in silence, drinking coffee, watching the city glow beneath them. Finally, Serafina speaks. "Can I ask you something?" "Yes." "Why do you live alone in a place this big?" Kale's expression doesn't change, but something shifts. A wall coming down just slightly. "Because I grew up in a place too small," he says quietly, sharing space with people who used proximity as a weapon. "I promised myself that if I ever had power, I'd use it to build distance." Serafina absorbs this. "What kind of weapon?" "The kind that leaves marks you can't see." Understanding settles over her like a blanket. She knows exactly what he means. She's lived it. "How old were you?" she asks. "When I left?" 17. "Where did you go?" "Anywhere that wasn't there." Serafina nods slowly. She understands that too. The running, the reinvention, the careful construction of a life designed to never resemble the one you escaped. "Do you ever go back?" she asks. "No." "Do you miss it?" Kale finally looks at her. His pale eyes hold something sharp and broken. "You don't miss prisons," he says quietly. "You just learn to live with the fact that you survived them." The honesty cuts through her. They sit together in the kitchen while Manhattan glows beneath them, and the coffee grows cold and something fragile begins forming in the space between survival and trust. Eventually, Kale speaks again. "I found something." Serafina's heart stops. "What?" Adrian Mercer isn't just a venture capitalist. He's been using his firms to run surveillance operations on multiple women. Former girlfriends, business associates, anyone who tried to leave him. Cold dread pools in her stomach. "How many?" "At least 7 that I can confirm. Probably more." "Are they safe?" "Most of them. He's careful, never violent, just controlling, monitoring, rewriting their lives from the outside until they can't tell what's real anymore." Serafina closes her eyes. "That's his specialty." "I know. What are you going to do?" Kale's expression goes cold, controlled, lethal. "I'm going to make him stop." "Kale, he's already escalating. The message he sent you proves it. He's not just looking anymore. He's announcing himself, testing boundaries, seeing how far he can push before someone pushes back." "And you're going to push back?" "Yes." Serafina's hands start shaking. She presses them flat against the counter. "He's powerful," she whispers. "He has connections, resources, lawyers who specialize in making problems disappear." Kale leans forward slightly. His pale eyes lock onto hers with absolute certainty. "So do I." The promise in those 3 words is terrifying and comforting in equal measure. Serafina wants to argue, wants to tell him this isn't his fight, wants to protect him from the destruction Adrian leaves in his wake. But she doesn't, because for the first time in her life, someone powerful is standing between her and the monster, and she's too tired to pretend she doesn't need that. "What do you need from me?" she asks quietly. Kyle sits back. "Nothing. Just stay here. Stay safe. Let me handle this." "I can't just—" "Yes, you can." "Kyle?" "Serafina." His voice softens just slightly. "You've been fighting alone for too long. Let someone else carry this for a while." Her vision blurs. She blinks hard. "I don't know how to do that." "Then learn." They sit together in the kitchen as dawn begins bleeding pale light across the Manhattan skyline. And for the first time in years, Serafina feels something that isn't fear. It might be hope, or it might be the beginning of trust. She's not sure yet, but she's willing to find out. One week later, everything changes. Serafina is reorganizing the library when Marcus appears in the doorway, looking grim. Miss Voss, Mr. Duval wants to see you in the security office. Now. Her stomach drops. What happened? Just come with me. She follows Marcus down to the ground floor, her heart hammering. The security office is a small room lined with monitors showing every angle of the building's exterior. Kyle is standing in front of the main screen, perfectly still, watching footage from the lobby cameras. When Serafina enters, he doesn't turn around. Watch, he says quietly. Marcus hits play. The footage shows the lobby from 40 minutes ago. Normal mid-morning traffic. People coming and going, nothing unusual. Then a man enters carrying white peonies. Serafina's breath stops. She knows those flowers. Adrian sent them to her after every fight, every manipulation, every time he systematically destroyed her sense of reality and then rebuilt it in his image. White peonies, his signature. On the screen, Adrian walks confidently to the front desk. He's wearing an expensive coat and a charming smile. He says something to the receptionist, who shakes her head politely. Adrian's smile doesn't waver. He places the flowers on the desk, says something else, then turns and walks out. The entire interaction takes less than 90 seconds. Marcus pauses the footage. Kyle finally turns to face Serafina. His expression is absolutely controlled, but his pale eyes are cold enough to burn. Did you know he was coming? No. Has he contacted you again? No, nothing since the text message. Kyle nods once. Then he turns to Marcus. Pull the exterior footage. I want to see which direction he went. Check traffic cameras within a 3-block radius. Find out if he's still in the area. Yes, sir. Marcus leaves. Serafina stands frozen, staring at the paused image of Adrian's face on the screen. He looks exactly the same. Polished, controlled, handsome in the way that makes people trust him immediately. She wants to throw up. He's escalating, Kyle says quietly. Serafina forces herself to breathe. What does that mean? It means he's not just watching anymore. He's making contact, announcing his presence. He wants you to know he's close. Why? Because fear is a weapon, and he's very good at using it. Serafina's hands ball into fists. So what do we do? Kyle walks to his desk, picks up a plain manila folder, and holds it out to her. We end this. She takes the folder with shaking hands and opens it. Inside are documents, financial records, email transcripts, surveillance logs, testimony statements from 4 different women describing patterns of psychological abuse identical to what Serafina experienced. Her hands start shaking harder. Where did you get this? I have people who specialize in finding things other people want to stay hidden. This is, Kyle, this could destroy him. That's the idea. Serafina looks up sharply. What are you going to do? Kyle's expression goes absolutely cold. I'm going to have a conversation. Kyle leaves the building at 9:47 p.m. wearing a black suit that costs more than most people earn in 6 months. No tie. No visible weapons. Just perfect tailored control and eyes that could cut glass. Serafina watches from the security office monitors as he slides into the back of a black sedan that's been idling at the curb for the past 20 minutes. The car pulls away smoothly, merging into Manhattan traffic like a shark disappearing into dark water. Marcus stands beside her, arms crossed, face grim. Where's he going? She asks. You don't want to know. Marcus? Miss Voss. He turns to look at her directly. Mr. Duval doesn't do anything halfway. If he told you he's handling this, he's handling it. Best thing you can do right now is stay here and let him work. Serafina's hands grip the edge of the desk. Every instinct she's developed over 6 months of hiding screams at her to run. To pack a bag and disappear before Adrian realizes Kyle is coming for him. Before this escalates into something she can't control. But she's so tired of running. So tired of letting fear make her decisions. What if something goes wrong? She whispers. Marcus almost smiles. Almost. Ma'am, I've worked for Kyle Duval for 8 years. I've seen him negotiate with people who make Adrian Mercer look like a church volunteer. Nothing's going wrong. The confidence in his voice should be reassuring. It's not. Because Serafina knows what Adrian is capable of when someone threatens his control. He doesn't fight fair. He doesn't fight clean. He fights to destroy. She stares at the empty lobby on the monitor and tries not to imagine all the ways this could end badly. Bus second. Sama's Shaktax. Kael's sedan stops outside a private club on the Upper East Side that doesn't advertise its existence. No sign, no doorman, just a brownstone with blacked-out windows and a single camera above the entrance. He steps out of the car and walks directly to the door. It opens before he touches it. Inside, the lighting is low and amber, leather furniture, dark wood paneling, the kind of place where men broker deals that never appear on official records. A hostess in a black dress approaches immediately. "Mr. Duval, he's waiting for you in the private room upstairs." Kael doesn't respond, just follows her up a narrow staircase to the second floor. The private room is smaller than he expected. Single table, 2 chairs, no windows. Adrian Mercer sits on the far side wearing a crisp white shirt and an expression of practiced calm. He looks exactly like his photographs. Mid-30s, handsome in an unremarkable way. The kind of face that disappears in a crowd but photographs well for corporate websites. When Kael enters, Adrian stands and extends his hand. "Mr. Duval, thank you for agreeing to meet." Kael doesn't shake his hand. He crosses to the opposite chair, sits down with perfect control, and places a plain manila folder on the table between them. Adrian's smile doesn't waver, but his eyes flicker to the folder for half a second. "I have to admit," Adrian says, settling back into his chair, "I was surprised when you reached out. I didn't realize you and Serafina were close." Kael's expression doesn't change. "We're not." "Then why are we here?" "Because you made a mistake." Adrian tilts his head slightly. The gesture is meant to look curious. It looks calculating. "What mistake is that?" "You came to my building." The temperature in the room drops. Adrian's smile fades slightly. "I was simply delivering flowers to an old friend." "You were announcing your presence to intimidate someone under my protection." "Protection?" Adrian laughs softly. "Mr. Duval, with all due respect, Serafina is a grown woman. She doesn't need protection from me. We had a relationship. It ended badly. I'm trying to make amends." Kael leans forward slightly. His pale eyes lock onto Adrian's with the kind of focus that makes grown men reconsider their life choices. "Open the folder." Adrian hesitates, then reaches forward and flips it open. His expression doesn't change as he scans the first page, or the second, or the third, but his hands tighten almost imperceptibly on the edges of the paper. "What is this?" he asks quietly. "Financial records showing shell companies you've been using to fund private surveillance operations. Email transcripts proving you hired investigators to track 7 different women without their knowledge or consent. Testimony from 4 of those women describing patterns of psychological manipulation and coercive control." Adrian closes the folder carefully. His face is still calm, but something cold flickers behind his eyes. "This is absurd." "It's documented. It's a fabrication. Anyone can create fake emails, forge documents, pay people to lie." Kael sits back. "You're right. They can. But they didn't." Adrian's jaw tightens. "What do you want?" "I want you to understand something very clearly." Kael's voice drops lower, quieter, more dangerous. "Serafina Voss is no longer your concern. You will not contact her. You will not approach her. You will not send flowers or messages or private investigators. You will forget she exists." "And if I don't?" Kael's expression doesn't change, but the threat in his silence is absolute. Adrian stares at him for a long moment. Then he laughs. Actually laughs. "You're threatening me? Do you have any idea who I am? The connections I have? I could make one phone call and have your restaurant shut down for health violations by tomorrow morning. You could try. I could do more than try." Kael leans forward again. This time his voice is soft, almost gentle, which somehow makes it worse. "Adrian, you're a smart man, successful, well-connected, but you've made a critical miscalculation." "What's that?" "You think power is about who you know, who owes you favors, who's afraid of you." Kael's pale eyes don't blink. "That's not power, that's leverage, and leverage only works when the other person cares about consequences." Adrian's smile falters. "I don't care about health violations," Kael continues quietly. "I don't care about bad press or legal threats or political connections. I care about exactly one thing right now, making sure you never come near Serafina again. She's mine. She's not. The words cut through the room like a blade. Adrian's composure finally cracks. His face hardens. His voice sharpens. You don't understand what you're interfering with. Serafina and I have history, real history. I loved her. I took care of her. She was falling apart when I met her and I built her back up. You destroyed her. I saved her. Kale's expression goes absolutely cold. You isolated her from her friends, monitored her communications, controlled her finances, convinced her that abuse was affection. That's not love. That's ownership. Adrian stands abruptly, chair scraping against hardwood. This conversation is over. Kale doesn't move. Sit down. Excuse me? Sit down. Something in Kale's voice makes Adrian hesitate. Some instinct that recognizes real danger when it's sitting 3 feet away. He sits. Kale reaches into his jacket and pulls out a second folder, thinner than the first. He places it on the table and slides it across. Adrian opens it. His face goes white. Inside are financial documents showing transactions flagged by the SEC, communications with offshore accounts, evidence of securities fraud buried so deep Adrian thought it would never surface. Where did you get this? Adrian whispers. I have people who specialize in finding things. You can't. I already did. Kale's voice remains perfectly calm. The SEC has received an anonymous tip. They're already investigating. Your board will receive notice within 72 hours. Adrian's hand starts shaking. You're bluffing. Call my bluff. They stare at each other across the table. Adrian's face cycles through emotions. Shock, rage, fear, calculation, before settling on something that looks almost like respect. What do you want? He asks again, quieter this time. I already told you. Stay away from Serafina. That's it? You destroy my career because of one woman? Kyle stands slowly, smoothing his suit jacket with careful precision. I haven't destroyed anything yet. Right now you're just facing an SEC investigation. Uncomfortable, expensive, but survivable if you have good lawyers and better excuses. And if I don't stay away from her? Kyle's expression finally shifts. His mouth curves into something that might be a smile if smiles could kill. Then the evidence doesn't just go to the SEC. It goes to the FBI, the IRS. Every media outlet in New York, your investors, your board members, your wife. Adrian goes absolutely still. You're married? Kyle asks softly. I didn't realize. Catherine Mercer, daughter of Senator Mercer, lovely woman, very active in charity work. I wonder how she'd feel knowing her husband has been stalking his ex-girlfriend for 6 months. You wouldn't? I would. Kale buttons his jacket. And unlike you, I don't make threats I'm not prepared to execute. He walks to the door, then stops and turns back. You have a choice, Adrian. Walk away from Serafina and deal with an SEC investigation that might cost you some money and reputation. Or keep pushing and lose everything. Adrian's face is ashen. This isn't over. Yes, Kyle says quietly. It is. He leaves without waiting for a response. Asmi Mochi. Serafina is still in the security office when Kyle returns 2 hours later. She's curled up in Marcus's chair drinking cold coffee and watching the lobby cameras like Adrian might materialize out of thin air. When Kyle walks through the door, she stands so fast she almost spills coffee on herself. What happened? Kyle looks tired, human. He loosens his collar and drops into the chair beside her. We had a conversation. And? He's going to leave you alone. Serafina's heart pounds. You're sure? Yes. How can you? Because I gave him a choice between losing you and losing everything else. And men like Adrian always choose self-preservation. She wants to believe him, wants it desperately. But she spent 2 years learning that Adrian doesn't respond to threats the way normal people do. What if he doesn't stop? She whispers. Kale meets her eyes. Then I'll make sure he regrets it. The certainty in his voice should comfort her. Instead, it terrifies her. Because she's starting to realize what Kyle is willing to do to protect her. and the weight of that responsibility feels heavier than the fear ever did. "I didn't ask you to do this," she says quietly. "I know. I didn't ask you to threaten him or investigate him, or I know." "Then why?" "Because someone should have." Kael's pale eyes hold hers without wavering. "Someone should have stepped between you and him 2 years ago. Someone should have told you that what he was doing wasn't love. Someone should have made him stop." Serafina's vision blurs. "That's not your responsibility." "Maybe not, but I'm making it mine anyway." They sit in silence while Manhattan glows beneath them and the security monitors cycle through empty hallways. Finally, Serafina speaks. "What happens now?" "Now you go back to your life, work, sleep, stop looking over your shoulder every 5 minutes. Just like that? Just like that." She almost laughs. "You think I can just stop being afraid?" "No, but you can start trying." 3 days pass. Adrian doesn't call, doesn't text, doesn't send flowers. The silence is somehow worse than the threats. Serafina goes through her normal routines, cleaning rooms, organizing closets, restocking supplies. But her mind is somewhere else entirely. She keeps waiting for the other shoe to drop, for Adrian to reappear, for everything Kael built to collapse. On the 4th night, she's restocking the bar in Kael's study when he enters carrying a bottle of wine and 2 glasses. "Thirsty?" he asks. She blinks. "I'm working." "You're also terrified. Wine helps with that." He pours 2 glasses without waiting for permission and hands her one. Serafina takes it automatically. "I shouldn't drink on the job." "You're not on the job. You're keeping me company." "That's not in my job description." Kael's mouth curves slightly, almost a smile. "Consider it a promotion." Despite everything, she almost laughs. They sit together in leather chairs overlooking the city. The wine is expensive, French, the kind Adrian used to drink while explaining why her taste was unsophisticated. "Can I ask you something?" Serafina says after her 2nd glass. "Yes." "How did you know?" "Know what?" "That threatening Adrian would work. How did you know he wouldn't just escalate?" Kael swirls wine in his glass, studying the color against the light. "Because I understand men like him. They build empires on the illusion of control. Take away the illusion and they collapse." "But you're—" She stops. "What?" "You're also a man who built an empire on control." Kael's expression doesn't change, but something flickers in his eyes. "The difference," he says quietly, "is I know the difference between control and cruelty. Adrian doesn't." Serafina absorbs this. "Did someone teach you that? Or did you figure it out yourself?" "Both." He doesn't elaborate. They drink in silence. Eventually, Kael speaks again. "I had a sister." Serafina goes still. Kael never talks about his past, never volunteers information about where he came from or who he used to be. "Had?" she asks carefully. "She died when I was 19, overdose. Everyone said it was an accident. But it wasn't." "No." Kael's voice is flat, empty. "It was escape. From our father. From the house we grew up in. From a life she couldn't survive anymore." Serafina's chest tightens. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. It was a long time ago." "That doesn't make it hurt less." Kael looks at her then, really looks at her. "No," he says softly. "It doesn't." They sit together while the city glows and the wine slowly disappears and something fragile continues forming between survival and trust. "Is that why you helped me?" Serafina asks. "Because of your sister?" Kael considers this. "Partially, but also because I recognize what Adrian did to you. I've seen it before, that specific kind of destruction that leaves no visible marks." "Your father?" "Yes." "What happened to him?" Kael's expression goes cold. "He learned what happens when you push someone too far." The weight of that statement settles over them. Serafina doesn't ask for details. She doesn't need to. Trots. 1 week later, everything goes wrong. Serafina is walking back from the corner market 2 blocks from the penthouse when she sees him. Adrian, standing across the street, staring directly at her. Her entire body locks up. The grocery bag slips from her fingers and hits the sidewalk. Apples roll into the gutter. Adrian doesn't move, just stands there watching her with an expression she can't read. Then he smiles. Not threatening, not cruel, just sad. He mouths something. She can't hear him over the traffic, but she can read his lips. I miss you. Serafina's vision tunnels. Her breath comes in short gasps. Every survival instinct she's developed screams at her to run, but her legs won't cooperate. Then someone steps between them. Kyle. He appeared out of nowhere, or maybe he was following her, she doesn't know. And now he's standing directly in her line of sight, blocking Adrian from view. Look at me, Kyle says quietly. Not him. Me. Serafina forces her eyes to focus on Kyle's face. Breathe, he says. In, out, in, out. She tries. Fails. Tries again. That's it. Keep going. Gradually her vision clears, her breathing steadies. The panic recedes just enough for her to function. Is he still there? She whispers. Kyle glances over his shoulder. His expression goes absolutely cold. No, he's gone. Are you sure? Yes. Serafina's legs give out. She sinks onto the curb, shaking. Kale crouches beside her, not touching, just present. I thought you said he would stop, she whispers. I did. Then why? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. He pulls out his phone and makes a call. His voice is clipped, controlled, lethal. Adrian Mercer was just on Fifth Avenue near the building. No, I don't care what he was doing there. Find him, now. He ends the call and looks at Serafina. Come on, we're going back. I can't. Yes, you can. Stand up. She stands on shaking legs. Kyle picks up her groceries, deposits them in a nearby trash can, and gestures for her to follow. They walk back to the building in silence. The security office is chaos when they arrive. Marcus is on 3 phones, simultaneously coordinating with street cameras and building security. 2 other guards Serafina doesn't recognize are pulling up footage on multiple monitors. Kyle walks directly to the main screen. Show me. Marcus brings up footage from 10 minutes ago. Adrian walking down Fifth Avenue, stopping across the street from the building, standing there for exactly 90 seconds, then walking away. Where did he go? Kyle asks. Subway. Lost him in the crowd at Grand Central. Kale's jaw tightens. He knows we're watching. Yes, sir. Then he's playing a different game now. Serafina stands frozen in the doorway, watching Kale operate. This is a side of him she's never seen before. Not the controlled businessman, not the careful protector. This is something colder, more dangerous. This is the man who built an empire in the shadows. Kale turns to Marcus. Increase security protocols. I want eyes on every entrance. No one gets within 50 feet of this building without us knowing about it. Already done. Good. Kale finally looks at Serafina. You're staying in the penthouse until this is resolved. No exceptions. Kale, I can't just... Yes, you can. I have a life. You have a stalker who just violated the terms I gave him. Kale's voice doesn't rise, but the authority in it is absolute. Which means the gloves are coming off. Something in his tone makes her stomach drop. What does that mean? Kyle doesn't answer, just turns back to the monitors. That night, Serafina can't sleep. She lies in bed replaying the moment she saw Adrian across the street. The way he smiled. The way he looked at her like she was something precious he'd lost. It would almost be romantic if it wasn't absolutely terrifying. At 3 a.m., she gives up and walks to the kitchen. Kale is already there. Again. He's sitting at the island surrounded by files and photographs spread across the marble surface like pieces of a puzzle. He looks up when she enters. Can't sleep? No. He gestures to the chair beside him. She sits. The files are all about Adrian. Financial records, travel logs, communication transcripts, photographs of him leaving various buildings. What is all this? She asks. Evidence? Of what? Everything. Kyle's pale eyes are bloodshot. He looks like he hasn't slept in days. I thought threatening him would be enough. I was wrong. So what now? Kyle gathers the files into a neat stack and sets them aside. Now I stop being polite. The coldness in his voice makes her shiver. What are you going to do? Whatever it takes. Kyle, he stood across the street from my building and stared at you like you were something he owned, after I explicitly told him to stay away. Kale's voice drops lower. That's not ignorance, that's defiance. And I don't tolerate defiance. Serafina's hands start shaking. I don't want you to do something you'll regret. I won't regret it. You don't know that. Kale finally looks at her directly. His pale eyes are exhausted, but absolutely certain. Adrian Mercer spent 2 years destroying you psychologically. He isolated you, monitored you, controlled you, convinced you that love looked like captivity. And when you finally escaped, he spent 6 months hunting you. I know. He doesn't get to keep doing that. Not while I'm standing here. The conviction in his voice is terrifying and comforting in equal measure. Serafina wants to argue, wants to tell him this isn't his fight, wants to protect him from whatever darkness he's about to step into. But she doesn't. Because part of her, the part that's still angry about everything Adrian stole, wants to watch him burn. What do you need from me? She asks quietly. Kale reaches across the counter and covers her hand with his. The touch is gentle, careful. Nothing like the way Adrian used to grab her wrist to make a point. Just trust me, he says. Serafina looks down at their hands. His palm is warm against her cold fingers. I do, she whispers, and she means it. 2 days later, Adrian's wife files for divorce. The news breaks on page 6. Catherine Mercer, daughter of Senator Mercer, is ending her 5-year marriage citing irreconcilable differences and personal betrayals. Serafina sees it first thing in the morning while scrolling through her phone. She reads the article 3 times before her brain processes what it means. Kyle walks into the kitchen wearing running clothes, sweat darkening his shirt. You saw, he says. It's not a question. Did you see? Yes. Serafina's hands tighten on her phone. What did you tell her? The truth about the surveillance, the other women, what he did to you. Kale, she deserved to know who she married. Serafina sets her phone down carefully. He's going to know it was you. Good. He's going to retaliate. Kale pours himself water from the refrigerator and drains it in one long swallow. Let him try Adrian retaliates 36 hours later. Health inspectors show up simultaneously at 3 of Kyle's restaurants. Anonymous tips about violations. Code enforcement, sanitation issues. Nothing sticks, because Kyle's restaurants are immaculate and his lawyers are better. But the message is clear. War. Kyle takes the news without visible reaction. Just listens to his operations manager explain the situation over speakerphone while standing at the window of his study. When the call ends, he turns to Serafina. Pack a bag. What? We're leaving the city for a few days. Kyle, I can't just... Yes, you can. His voice is calm but absolute. Adrian is escalating, which means staying here right now is dangerous for both of us. Where are we going? Somewhere he can't follow. Get. They leave Manhattan at sunset in a black SUV with tinted windows. No security detail, no driver. Just Kyle behind the wheel and Serafina in the passenger seat watching the city disappear behind them. Where are we going? She asks again. Connecticut. I have a house there. You have a house in Connecticut? I have houses in several places. Most people don't know about them. They drive in silence through darkness and highway lights. Eventually, Serafina speaks. You didn't have to do this. I know. You could have just fired me, avoided the whole mess. Kyle's hands tighten on the steering wheel. Is that what you think I should have done? No, but it would have been easier. I don't do things because they're easy. Then why? Because you matter. The words come out quiet, almost reluctant. You matter to me, and I don't let people who matter get destroyed by men like Adrian Mercer. Serafina's throat tightens. She stares out the window at darkness rushing past. I'm not used to mattering to people, she whispers. Get used to it. The house in Connecticut is nothing like the Manhattan penthouse. It's smaller, warmer, wood floors and stone fireplaces and windows that overlook dense forest instead of glowing cityscape. Kyle carries her bag inside and shows her to a guest room with soft lighting and a bed that looks impossibly comfortable. "Get some sleep," he says. "We'll figure out next steps in the morning." But Serafina can't sleep. She lies in bed staring at the ceiling while her mind races through possibilities. Adrian knows Kyle is protecting her. Adrian's wife left him. Adrian's companies are under investigation. Adrian has nothing left to lose, which makes him more dangerous than ever. At some point, she must drift off because she wakes to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and the smell of coffee drifting from downstairs. She finds Kyle in his kitchen making breakfast. Actual breakfast. Eggs and toast and fruit arranged on plates like a normal person doing normal things. It's so domestic it almost hurts. "Morning," he says without turning around. "Morning. Coffee's ready?" She pours herself a cup and sits at the small kitchen table. They eat in comfortable silence. Eventually, Kyle speaks. "My lawyers are filing a restraining order against Adrian today. It won't stop him permanently, but it creates legal consequences if he continues contact." Serafina nods. "Okay." The SEC investigation is also progressing faster than expected. His board is already discussing removing him. "How fast is this going to move?" "Fast." Kale sets down his fork. "Within 2 weeks, Adrian Mercer will either disappear from your life entirely or he'll do something desperate. And if he does something desperate?" Kale's pale eyes meet hers across the table. "Then I'll handle it." The certainty in his voice should comfort her. Instead, it fills her with dread, because she's starting to realize that Kyle's version of handling it might involve things she can't take back. "Promise me something," she says quietly. "What?" "Promise me you won't destroy yourself trying to destroy him." Kyle holds her gaze for a long moment. Then he stands, walks around the table, and crouches beside her chair so they're eye level. "I'm not destroying myself," he says softly. "I'm protecting you. There's a difference." "Is there?" "Yes." "How do you know?" "Because destroying myself would mean losing control, and I never lose control." He stands and carries his plate to the sink. Serafina sits alone at the table watching him move through the kitchen with perfect precision and wonders if control is the same thing as safety or just another kind of cage. Tashik. They stay in Connecticut for 5 days. During the day, Kyle works remotely. Phone calls. Video conferences. Running an empire from a kitchen table in the woods. During the night, they sit by the fireplace and talk. Not about Adrian, not about danger or fear or the war being waged in Manhattan. Just life. Kyle tells her about building his first restaurant at 23 with money he earned doing things he still won't fully explain. Serafina tells him about her graduate thesis on coercive control that she abandoned when she realized she was living inside her own case study. They talk about books and food and the specific kind of exhaustion that comes from pretending to be fine when you're falling apart. On the 5th night, Serafina asks the question she's been holding back. "What happens when we go back?" Kyle stares into the fireplace. Orange light plays across his face. "Adrian will either be gone or we'll make him gone. And if making him gone means it won't." "You don't know that." Kyle finally looks at her. "I know that I've handled men more dangerous than Adrian Mercer. I know that I have resources he can't match. And I know that this ends with you safe." "At what cost?" "Whatever it takes." The finality in his voice makes her chest tight. "I don't want you to become something you're not because of me," she whispers. Kyle's expression softens just slightly. "Serafina, I became this version of myself a long time ago, long before I met you. This isn't about becoming something new. It's about using what I already am for something that actually matters." "And I matter." "Yes." "Why?" The question hangs between them. Kyle is quiet for a long time. Then he speaks. "Because when I look at you, I see someone who survived something that should have destroyed her. Someone who escaped when staying would have been easier. Someone who keeps choosing to rebuild even when rebuilding is terrifying." His pale eyes hold hers. "That kind of strength is rare. And I don't let rare things get destroyed if I can prevent it." Serafina's vision blurs. "I'm not that strong." "Yes, you are. You just don't see it yet." She stands abruptly and walks to the window. Outside, darkness presses against glass. Inside, firelight flickers across wood floors. What if I can't do this? She whispers. What if I can't handle whatever comes next? Kale comes to stand beside her, not touching, just present. Then I'll handle it for you, until you can. She looks up at him, at this man who built an empire on shadows and control and careful distance, but somehow still found space to care about a maid with haunted eyes. Why are you so certain this will work? She asks. Kale's expression goes cold, absolute. Because Adrian Mercer made one critical mistake. What's that? He underestimated what I'm willing to do for people I protect. Before she can respond, his phone rings. He glances at the screen. His expression hardens. It's Marcus. He answers, listens. His face goes absolutely still. When? Pause. How long ago? Pause. Lock it down. I'm on my way. He ends the call. Serafina's stomach drops. What happened? Kale's pale eyes are ice. Adrian just showed up at the Manhattan building. He's in the lobby right now demanding to see you. They drive back to Manhattan in absolute silence. Kale's hands grip the steering wheel tight enough that his knuckles turn white. His jaw is clenched, his pale eyes fixed on the highway cutting through darkness, like he's trying to burn a hole through it with sheer force of will. Serafina sits in the passenger seat with her phone clutched in both hands, watching the city lights grow closer with each mile and trying not to imagine what Adrian is doing in the lobby right now, what he's saying, what he wants. Her phone buzzes. Marcus. He's still here, sitting in the lobby, won't leave. Says he'll wait all night if he has to. Her stomach twists. Marcus says he's waiting, she whispers. Kale's expression doesn't change. Good. Good? Means I know exactly where he is. The coldness in his voice makes her shiver. They reach Manhattan just after midnight. The streets are quieter than usual. Rain starting to fall in thin sheets that turn the pavement black and reflective. Kyle pulls into the underground garage beneath his building and parks in his reserved spot. Kills the engine, doesn't move. Serafina watches him in the dim garage lighting. What are you going to do? She asks quietly. Have a conversation. That's what you said last time. This time will be different. How? Kyle finally looks at her. His pale eyes are absolutely controlled, but something dangerous burns underneath. Last time I was polite. Gave him options. Treated him like someone capable of making rational decisions. He unbuckles his seatbelt. I'm done being polite. Before she can respond, he's out of the car and walking toward the elevator. Serafina scrambles to follow. What? The elevator ride to the lobby feels like it takes hours. Kyle stands perfectly still, hands in his pockets, staring at the floor numbers climbing. His breathing is controlled, even, but Serafina can feel the tension radiating off him like heat. Maybe I should talk to him, she says suddenly. No. Kyle, absolutely not. He came here to see me. Maybe if I just... Kale turns to face her so fast she takes a step back. He came here to intimidate you, to prove that no matter how far you run or who protects you, he can still reach you whenever he wants. That's not a conversation. That's psychological warfare. His voice drops lower. And you're not fighting that battle alone. The elevator dings. 42nd floor. The doors slide open. Marcus is waiting in the hallway, looking grim. He's still down there, Marcus says. Building security asked him to leave 3 times. He refused. Says he's not breaking any laws by sitting in a public lobby. He's right, Kyle says. He's not. So what do you want to do? Kale's expression goes cold and controlled and absolutely lethal. I want you to take Serafina to the penthouse and lock the door. No one gets in without my explicit authorization. Yes, sir. Kyle, Serafina starts. Not negotiable. I should be there. No. He looks at her directly. You should be safe. Let me handle this. Before she can argue, Marcus gently takes her arm and guides her down the hallway toward the penthouse entrance. Serafina looks back over her shoulder. Kyle is already gone, disappeared into the elevator heading down. Posans. The lobby is empty except for Adrian Mercer sitting in one of the leather chairs near the entrance. He's wearing an expensive coat. His hair is perfect. He looks calm, composed. like he's waiting for a business meeting instead of staging a psychological siege. When the elevator doors open and Kael steps out, Adrian stands smoothly. "Mr. Duval, thank you for coming down." Kael crosses the lobby with measured steps. Doesn't speak. Just walks directly to where Adrian is standing and stops 3 feet away. The building security guard, young, nervous, hovers near the front desk. "Mr. Duval, we asked him to leave, but he says, 'It's fine,'" Kael says without taking his eyes off Adrian. "Give us the room." The guard hesitates. "Sir, I don't think, now." The guard leaves quickly. Kael and Adrian stand alone in the empty lobby. Rain streams down the floor-to-ceiling windows. The city outside is blurred and dark. "You violated our agreement," Kael says quietly. Adrian tilts his head. "What agreement? I don't recall signing anything. I told you to stay away from her. And I told you that Serafina and I have history, real history. You can't legislate that away with threats and intimidation." Kael's expression doesn't change, but something cold settles into his eyes. "You stood on Fifth Avenue and stared at her until she had a panic attack. You showed up at my building after I explicitly told you not to contact her. That's not history. That's harassment." Adrian's calm facade cracks slightly. "I sent flowers. I stood on a public street. I'm sitting in a public lobby. None of that is illegal. It's also not accidental." "No, it's not." Adrian takes a step closer. "I love her. Do you understand that? I spent 2 years building a life with her, supporting her, taking care of her when she was falling apart. And she just left, without explanation, without giving me a chance to fix things." Kael's jaw tightens. "She left because you were destroying her. That's what she told you, but you don't know the whole story." "Then enlighten me." Adrian reaches into his coat pocket. Kael's entire body goes tense, ready to move. But Adrian just pulls out his phone, unlocks it, pulls up a video. "This is from 8 months ago," Adrian says. 3 weeks before Serafina disappeared." He turns the phone around. The video shows a restaurant, upscale, candlelit tables and soft music. And Serafina, sitting across from another man, laughing, touching his hand across the table, looking happy in a way Kael has never seen her look. Adrian's voice continues over the video. "His name is Marcus Chen, investment banker. They'd been seeing each other for 6 weeks behind my back. When I confronted her about it, she denied everything, said I was paranoid, controlling, making things up." The video continues. Serafina and the other man leaving the restaurant together, his arm around her waist, her head on his shoulder. Kael's chest tightens. "I hired investigators to confirm what I already knew," Adrian continues. "She was having an affair, lying to my face, gaslighting me into thinking I was crazy for noticing." The video stops. Adrian pockets his phone and looks at Kael with something that might be genuine pain. "So yes, I monitored her phone. Yes, I tracked her movements, because the woman I loved was destroying me while pretending to be the victim." His voice cracks slightly. "And when she finally left, I tried to find her because I wanted answers. I wanted to understand why she threw away everything we built." Kael stands absolutely still. His mind is racing through possibilities, explanations, ways this could be fabricated, but the video looked real. Too real. "You're lying," Kael says, but his voice lacks certainty. "Am I? Ask her yourself. Ask her about Marcus Chen. Ask her about the restaurant in Chelsea. Ask her why she suddenly needed to work late 3 nights a week." Adrian's expression hardens. Or better yet, ask her why she conveniently left out that part of the story when she was painting me as the monster. Kael's hands clench into fists. "Get out!" "Gladly." Adrian walks toward the door, then stops and turns back. "I'm not the villain in this story, Mr. Duval. I'm just a man who loves someone who lied to him, and if you're smart, you'll figure out what she's lying to you about before you destroy your life trying to protect her." He leaves. The lobby falls silent except for rain against glass. Kael stands frozen, staring at nothing, while his entire understanding of the past 3 weeks fractures and reforms into something he doesn't recognize. Serafina is pacing the penthouse living room when Kael enters 40 minutes later. "What happened? Is he gone? Did you—" She stops. Kyle is standing in the doorway staring at her with an expression she's never seen before. Not cold, not controlled, just blank. Kyle? Tell me about Marcus Chen. The name hits her like a physical blow. Her face goes white. Her hands start shaking. And Kyle knows. Adrian was telling the truth. Kyle, I can explain. Were you having an affair? It's not what you think. Answer the question. His voice is quiet, deadly. Serafina's eyes fill with tears. Yes, but... Kale turns and walks out. Wait, please, just let me explain. She follows him down the hallway to his study. He enters and immediately pours himself 3 fingers of whiskey, drains it, pours another. Serafina stands in the doorway watching him with her heart hammering against her ribs. You lied to me, Kyle says without turning around. I didn't. You told me Adrian was controlling, manipulative, that he monitored you without cause, that he was paranoid and abusive. He finally turns to face her. You left out the part where you were actually lying to him, actually betraying him, actually giving him reasons to doubt you. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Serafina's hands shake. Adrian and I were already falling apart. He was suffocating me, controlling everything I did. I couldn't breathe. And then I met Marcus at a work event, and he was kind and he listened and he made me feel like a person instead of a possession. So you had an affair. It was 3 dates. 3. Her voice cracks. We had dinner. We talked. Once he kissed me. That's it. I never slept with him. But you lied to Adrian about it. Yes. Because I knew what would happen if I told him. He would have twisted it into something it wasn't. He would have used it to justify everything he was already doing. Kyle's expression doesn't change. Or maybe he was doing those things because you gave him reason to. The words land like a slap. Serafina staggers backward. You don't believe that. I don't know what I believe anymore. Kyle, please. You came to me 3 weeks ago with haunted eyes and stories about psychological abuse. You let me investigate him, threaten him, destroy his marriage, start a war with a man who could have burned down everything I built. Kyle's voice is still quiet, but there's something broken underneath. And you never once mentioned that maybe, just maybe, he had reasons to not trust you. Because it doesn't matter. It absolutely matters. The shout echoes through the study. Serafina flinches. Kale closes his eyes and takes a breath. When he speaks again, his voice is controlled, cold. Get out. What? Get your things and get out of my home. Serafina's world tilts. You're firing me? I'm removing you from a situation where I can no longer trust my own judgment. Kale, please, just listen. I did listen. For 3 weeks I listened, and apparently everything you told me was a carefully edited version of the truth designed to make you look like the victim. I am the victim. Are you? Or are you just someone who made bad choices and didn't want to face the consequences? The accusation hits her like a physical blow. You don't mean that, she whispers. I don't know what I mean anymore. That's the problem. Kale walks to the window and stares out at Manhattan. I built my entire empire on reading people, understanding motivations, seeing through manipulation. And you walked into my kitchen with tears in your eyes and I believed every word without question. Because it was the truth. Was it? Because right now it feels like I've been fighting someone else's war without understanding what I was actually fighting for. Serafina's legs give out. She sinks into the nearest chair. Adrian was abusive, she says quietly. Maybe I gave him reasons to doubt me. Maybe I made mistakes. But that doesn't justify what he did. The monitoring, the isolation, the way he convinced me I was crazy for having feelings. I know. Kale's voice is tired, broken. But it also doesn't justify you lying to me about it. I didn't lie. Omission is still lying, Serafina. Silence falls over the study. Rain continues streaming down the windows. The city glows beneath them. Everything looks the same as it did an hour ago, but nothing feels the same. What do you want me to say? Serafina whispers. Kyle finally turns to face her. I want you to say that you understand why I can't do this anymore. Why I can't keep fighting a battle where I don't know if I'm protecting someone who needs protection or enabling someone who's manipulating me. I'm not manipulating you. Then why do I feel like I just got played? The question hangs between them. Serafina has no answer. Because part of her knows he's right. She did leave out details. Did frame the story in a way that made Adrian look like a monster and her look like an innocent victim. Did use Kael's protective instincts against a man who maybe, just maybe, had some legitimate reasons for his behavior. But that doesn't make what Adrian did okay. Does it? I need you to leave, Kael says quietly. Where am I supposed to go? I don't care. Hotel, friend's place, back to wherever you lived before you came here. I can't afford a hotel. Kael pulls out his phone, types something quickly, then shows her the screen. A bank transfer confirmation. $20,000. That should cover it, he says flatly. Serafina stares at the number. I don't want your money. Consider it severance. Kael, get out. The finality in his voice destroys her. She stands on shaking legs and walks to the door, stops, turns back. I'm sorry, she whispers. I'm sorry I didn't tell you everything. I'm sorry I let you fight for me without giving you the full picture, but I'm not sorry I left Adrian, and I'm not sorry I survived. Kael doesn't respond. Serafina leaves. But she could. She packs her things in 15 minutes. Everything she owns fits into 2 duffel bags. Clothes, toiletries. The book about coercive control that Kael left for her in the kitchen a lifetime ago. Marcus appears in her doorway as she's zipping the second bag. Need a ride? He asks quietly. I'll take the subway. At 2 in the morning with 2 bags? He shakes his head. Come on, I'll drive you. Serafina doesn't have the energy to argue. They ride down in the elevator in silence. Marcus loads her bags into a town car parked in the garage. Where to? He asks. Serafina rattles off an address. A women's shelter in Brooklyn where she stayed briefly 6 months ago when she first escaped Adrian. Marcus doesn't comment, just drives. They're halfway across the bridge when he finally speaks. For what it's worth, I believe you. Serafina looks at him sharply. What? About Adrian. About what he did to you. I've worked for Mr. Duval for 8 years. I've seen him deal with all kinds of people, and I've never seen him react to anyone the way he reacted to your situation. Marcus keeps his eyes on the road. He doesn't protect people unless he genuinely believes they need protecting. Which means whatever Adrian showed him tonight shook him bad enough to doubt himself, and Mr. Duval doesn't doubt himself. So you're saying I deserve this? I'm saying the truth is probably more complicated than either of you wants to admit. They drive in silence. Eventually Marcus pulls up in front of the shelter, helps her carry her bags to the door. You need anything? You call me, he says. Why would you help me? You work for Kael. Because working for someone doesn't mean agreeing with everything they do. He hands her a business card. You're in trouble, you call. Understood? Serafina takes the card with numb fingers. Marcus drives away. She stands alone on a Brooklyn street at 2:47 a.m. with 2 duffel bags and $20,000 she doesn't want and absolutely no idea what happens next. Check. The shelter is full. The woman at the front desk, mid-50s, kind eyes, exhausted, apologizes and gives her a list of other locations that might have space. Serafina ends up in a youth hostel in the Lower East Side that smells like mildew and desperation. $50 a night. Shared bathroom. Thin walls that let every sound bleed through. She lies on the narrow bed, staring at the ceiling and trying not to fall apart completely. Her phone buzzes. Unknown number. Her heart stops. She opens the message. I heard you left Kael's employment. If you need somewhere to stay, my door is always open. Adrian. Of course Adrian knows. He probably has people watching the building, tracking her movements, cataloging every step she takes. She deletes the message, blocks the number, lies back down. Her phone buzzes again. Different number. Running away again? You're good at that, but you can't run from the truth forever. She throws the phone across the room. It hits the wall and clatters to the floor. She pulls the thin blanket over her head and lets herself cry for the first time in 3 weeks. 3 days pass. Serafina spends them in a fog of cheap coffee and cheaper meals and long walks through neighborhoods where no one knows her name. She applies for jobs. waitress positions, cleaning services, anything that pays cash and doesn't ask questions. No one calls back. On the fourth morning, she wakes to her phone ringing. Unknown number. Again. She almost doesn't answer, but something makes her pick up. Hello? Serafina Voss? A woman's voice, professional, unfamiliar. Who is this? My name is Catherine Mercer. I'm Adrian's wife, ex-wife. We need to talk. Serafina sits up so fast she almost falls out of bed. How did you get this number? That's not important. What's important is that I have information you need to hear, information about Adrian, about what he's been doing for the past 6 months, about what he's planning to do next. He's not just stalking you, Serafina. He's building a case, a legal case. He's planning to sue Cale Duvall for tortious interference, defamation, destruction of his business relationships, and he's using you as the evidence. Serafina's blood goes cold. What? He's been documenting everything, every interaction, every move Kyle made against him. He's framing it as a personal vendetta by a powerful man who destroyed an innocent person's life based on lies from an unstable ex-girlfriend. I know it's not true. But Adrian is very good at making lies look like truth. And right now he has video evidence of you with another man. He has testimony from colleagues who will say you exhibited erratic behavior. He has financial records showing Kyle transferred you $20,000 right before you left his employment. Catherine's voice softens slightly. He's going to destroy both of you, and unless you do something, he's going to win. Serafina can't breathe. Why are you telling me this? Because I was married to Adrian for 5 years. I know what he's capable of, and I know that once he decides someone has wronged him, he doesn't stop until they're completely ruined. A pause. I'm sending you an address. Meet me there in 2 hours. Come alone, don't tell anyone. 2 hours, Serafina, or everything you and Cale tried to build comes crashing down. The call ends. Serafina stares at her phone. A text arrives. An address in Tribeca. She sits on the edge of the bed with her heart hammering and her mind racing through possibilities. This could be a trap. Catherine could be working with Adrian. This could be the final play in a game Serafina doesn't even understand. But if Catherine is telling the truth, if Adrian really is building a legal case against Kyle, then everything is about to get so much worse. Chaisan. Serafina arrives at the Tribeca address 45 minutes early. It's a coffee shop. Small, quiet. The kind of place that serves $8 lattes and hosts freelancers pretending to work on screenplays. She orders black coffee and sits in the back corner where she can watch the door. Catherine Mercer arrives exactly on time. She's younger than Serafina expected, early 30s, blonde hair pulled into a neat ponytail, expensive but understated clothing, the kind of woman who looks like she's never had a crisis she couldn't solve with good lawyers and better planning. She spots Serafina immediately and walks over. Thank you for coming, Catherine says, sliding into the opposite chair. I'm not sure I should be here. You shouldn't, but you are, which means you're at least willing to listen. Catherine pulls out a tablet and sets it on the table between them. Adrian has been planning this for months, probably since before you even left him. He's meticulous, obsessive. He doesn't leave anything to chance. She opens a folder on the tablet. Documents appear, legal filings, investigative reports, communication logs. Serafina's stomach turns as she reads. He's suing Kyle? She whispers. Not yet, but he will. As soon as he thinks he has enough evidence to win. Catherine scrolls through more documents. He's also filed complaints with the health department, business licensing boards. He's contacted Kyle's investors, his business partners, anyone who might be willing to listen to a story about a dangerous man who destroyed an innocent person's life. This is insane. This is Adrian. Catherine's voice is flat. This is what he does. He identifies threats. He builds cases. He executes with surgical precision. Serafina's hands shake as she reaches for her coffee cup. Why are you helping me? Catherine is quiet for a moment. Then she speaks. Because I spent 5 years married to a man who convinced me I was the problem, that my concerns were paranoia, that my feelings were invalid, and when I finally found the courage to leave, he tried to destroy me too. Her eyes meet Serafina's. The only reason I survived is because my father is a senator with resources Adrian couldn't match. You don't have that. Neither does Kyle. Which means unless someone helps you, Adrian wins. What do you want from me? I want you to tell the truth. The whole truth. Everything you left out when you told Kyle your story. Serafina's chest tightens. I told him, you told him a version. I need the real version. Because right now, Adrian is building a narrative where you're an unstable woman who manipulated a powerful man into destroying an innocent person. And unless we can prove otherwise, that narrative becomes reality. I didn't manipulate Kyle. Then prove it. Tell me everything. The affair, the lies, the reasons Adrian had for not trusting you. And we'll figure out how to use that to destroy his case before he files it. Serafina stares at this woman she doesn't know, asking her to confess things she's barely admitted to herself. If I do this, she says slowly, Kyle will know I lied to him. Again. He already knows you lied. The question is whether you're going to let that lie destroy both of you or whether you're going to fight back. The truth of that statement settles over Serafina like a weight. She takes a breath and starts talking. Tishak. 2 hours later, Catherine has a full recording of everything. The affair with Marcus Chen, the lies she told Adrian, the way she manipulated situations to make herself look innocent, the fact that Adrian's controlling behavior started before but escalated after he discovered her betrayal. All of it. Every ugly truth Serafina has been avoiding for 8 months. Catherine saves the recording and looks at her seriously. This doesn't make what Adrian did okay. I know, but it does mean you are not a perfect victim, and Adrian is going to use that. So what do we do? Catherine is quiet for a moment, then she speaks. We beat him at his own game. We take everything you just told me and we use it to file a countersuit. Harassment, stalking, intentional infliction of emotional distress. We acknowledge your mistakes, but we prove that his response was disproportionate and abusive. That will destroy my credibility. Your credibility is already destroyed the moment Adrian files his lawsuit. At least this way you control the narrative. Serafina's head spins. What about Kyle? What about him? He's not going to want anything to do with this. With me. I lied to him, used him, dragged him into a war he didn't understand. Catherine's expression softens slightly. Then you apologize. You tell him the truth. You give him the choice to walk away or stay and fight. But you don't make that choice for him. He already made his choice. He threw me out. He threw you out because he felt betrayed, because you didn't give him the full picture. That's different than choosing not to care. Catherine stands and gathers her things. Go talk to him. Tell him everything you just told me, and let him decide whether this is a fight he wants to finish. She leaves. Serafina sits alone in the coffee shop with the weight of her mistakes crushing down on her, and absolutely no idea whether she has the courage to face KL again. Her phone buzzes. Marcus, you need to see this. A link follows. She clicks it. Her blood turns to ice. It's a news article, published 20 minutes ago. Prominent restaurateur Kyle Duval, under investigation for alleged business intimidation. The article details anonymous complaints, allegations of threatening behavior, business rivals forced out through illegal tactics. And at the center of it all, one source, Adrian Mercer, described as a venture capitalist who became the target of Duval's harassment campaign after attempting to reconnect with a former employee. Serafina's hand shakes so badly she almost drops the phone. Adrian didn't wait. He filed, and now Kyle's entire empire is about to come crashing down because of her. She runs out of the coffee shop, into the street, hails a cab with shaking hands. Upper East Side, she gasps. Fast. The driver doesn't ask questions. 20 minutes later, she's standing in the lobby of Kyle's building, the same lobby where Adrian sat 3 nights ago, the same lobby where everything fell apart. Marcus is at the security desk. His face is grim. He doesn't want to see you, he says quietly. I don't care. I need to talk to him. Miss Voss, please. Something in her voice makes Marcus hesitate. Then he picks up his radio. Mr. Duval, Miss Voss is here. Says it's urgent. Static. Then Kyle's voice, cold, flat. Tell her to leave. Sir, I really think... Tell her to leave or you're fired. Marcus lowers the radio slowly. I'm sorry, he he says. Serafina's world tilts. Marcus, please. Adrian filed a lawsuit. It's all over the news. Kael's being investigated, and it's my fault, and I need to... I know, we all know. Mr. Duval's been dealing with lawyers all morning. Then let me help. You've helped enough. The words come from behind her. She spins around. Kael is standing in the elevator doorway. He looks like he hasn't slept in days. His suit is wrinkled. His hair is messy. His pale eyes are hollow. Kael, you need to leave now. Please just listen. I don't want to hear it. And Adrian is building a case against you because of me, because I lied, because I dragged you into something you didn't understand, and I need to fix it. Kael's expression doesn't change. You can't fix this. I can try. By doing what? Telling more lies? Manipulating more people? His voice is quiet, but each word lands like a blade. I built my entire life on control, on understanding situations completely before I act. And you walked into my home and made me abandon every principle I have. I didn't mean to. It doesn't matter what you meant. It matters what you did. Serafina's vision blurs. I'm sorry, she whispers. I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't fix the investigation. Sorry doesn't undo the damage to my reputation. Sorry doesn't make me trust you again. Then what do I have to do? Kael stares at her for a long moment. Nothing. There's nothing you can do. This is my problem now, and I'll handle it the way I handle everything. He turns back toward the elevator. Alone. Kael, please. If you're still here in 60 seconds, I'm calling the police. He disappears into the elevator. The doors close. Serafina stands in the empty lobby with tears streaming down her face and the sound of her own breathing too loud in her ears. Marcus gently touches her shoulder. You should go, he says quietly. I can't just leave. Yes, you can, and you should. She looks at him desperately. How do I fix this? Marcus's expression is sad, tired. I don't think you can. And by much. Serafina returns to the hostel in a daze. She climbs the stairs to her room, unlocks the door, stands in the middle of the tiny space staring at nothing. Her phone buzzes. Adrian. Of course. I warned you. I told you Kael Duval would only make things worse, but you didn't listen. Now he's being investigated. His business is suffering. His reputation is ruined, all because of you. Another message. You can stop this. Come talk to me. Tell the truth about what really happened, and I'll make the lawsuit disappear. Her hands shake. I still love you, Serafina. I always have. This doesn't have to destroy everyone. Just come home. She stares at the messages. Adrian is offering her a way out. A terrible, awful, soul-destroying way out. But a way nonetheless. All she has to do is go back to him. Admit she was wrong. Play the role of the repentant girlfriend who made mistakes and wants to fix them. And Kael would be safe. His business would recover. The investigation would disappear. Everything would go back to normal, except she would be trapped again, controlled again, destroyed again. But at least Kael would be okay. Her phone rings. Catherine Mercer. She answers. Did you see the news? Catherine asks. Yes. Then you know we're out of time. We need to file the countersuit now. Today, before Adrian buries both of you. I can't. Yes, you can. You don't understand. If I fight him, Kael gets destroyed. If I go back to Adrian, Kael stays safe. You're not seriously considering that. Serafina closes her eyes. What if that's the only way to protect him? Then Adrian wins, and you lose everything you fought for, and Kael spends the rest of his life knowing you sacrificed yourself to save him. Catherine's voice hardens. Is that really what you want? Serafina doesn't answer, because she doesn't know anymore. She doesn't know what she wants. What's right? What will cause the least damage? All she knows is that everyone she touches ends up worse than they started, and maybe the kindest thing she can do is disappear entirely. I have to go, she whispers. Serafina. She ends the call, sits on the edge of the narrow bed, and tries to figure out if there's any version of this story where she doesn't destroy everything. Serafina doesn't sleep. She lies on the narrow hostel bed staring at the water-stained ceiling while her phone buzzes with messages she doesn't answer. Adrian, Catherine. Unknown numbers that might be reporters or investigators or Adrian using burner phones. She ignores all of them. At 4:23 a.m., she makes a decision. She's not going back to Adrian, not to save Kyle, not to save herself, not for any reason that exists in this world or the next. But she's also not going to let Kyle destroy himself fighting a war she started, which means there's only one option left. She has to end this herself. By 6 a.m., Serafina is standing outside Adrian's office building in Midtown. She knows his schedule, knows he arrives early, knows he takes the private elevator directly to the executive suite on the 48th floor. She waits in the coffee shop across the street with a view of the entrance. At 6:47 a.m., Adrian's car pulls up to the curb. He steps out wearing an immaculate navy suit and carrying a leather briefcase. He looks calm, rested, like a man who sleeps well at night despite destroying lives for sport. Serafina's hands tighten around her coffee cup. She watches him enter the building, watches the doorman greet him, watches him disappear into the elevator. Then she stands, throws away her untouched coffee, and crosses the street. The lobby is marble and glass and the kind of quiet that comes from expensive architecture. A receptionist sits behind a curved desk that probably costs more than Serafina earned in a year working for KL. "Can I help you?" the receptionist asks with practiced politeness. "I'm here to see Adrian Mercer." "Do you have an appointment?" "No, but he'll see me." The receptionist's smile doesn't waver. "I'm sorry, but Mr. Mercer doesn't take unscheduled meetings. If you'd like to leave your name and contact information, tell him Serafina Voss is here. Tell him I'm ready to talk." The receptionist's expression shifts slightly. Recognition. She's heard the name before. "One moment." She picks up the phone, speaks quietly, listens. Her eyes flicker to Serafina with something that might be pity or might be curiosity. "He'll see you. 48th floor. Take the elevator on the right." Serafina's heart hammers as she crosses to the elevator. The ride up feels like it takes hours. She watches the floor numbers climb while her reflection stares back at her from polished metal doors. She looks exhausted, hollow, like someone who's been fighting too long with nothing left to lose. Good. That's exactly what she needs to be. The elevator opens directly into Adrian's executive suite. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Minimalist furniture. Everything designed to communicate power and control. Adrian is standing at the window with his back to her, phone pressed to his ear. "I'll call you back," he says quietly. Ends the call. Turns around. For a moment, they just stare at each other. Then Adrian smiles. Not threatening, not cruel, just sad. "You look terrible," he says. "I feel worse." "I'm sorry to hear that." He gestures to the chairs in front of his desk. "Sit, please." Serafina doesn't move. "I'm not staying long." "Then say what you came to say." She takes a breath. "Drop the lawsuit against Kyle Duval." Adrian's expression doesn't change. "Why would I do that?" "Because I'll give you what you want." "And what do I want, Serafina?" "The truth. An apology. Acknowledgement that I hurt you." Adrian walks slowly to his desk and leans against it, arms crossed. "Go on." Serafina's hands ball into fists at her sides. Every word she's about to say tastes like poison. "I had an affair. I lied about it. I manipulated situations to make myself look innocent while making you look paranoid. I destroyed your trust and then blamed you for not trusting me." Her voice is steady, but her entire body is shaking. "You had reasons to monitor me, reasons to doubt me. And I use those reasons to paint you as abusive when the truth is more complicated." Adrian is quiet for a long moment, then he speaks. "That must have been hard to say. You have no idea. And if I drop the lawsuit, what then?" "Then I disappear. I leave New York. I never contact you again. I never speak to Kyle Duval again. I become a ghost." Adrian studies her face carefully. "You'd do that? Sacrifice yourself to protect him?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because he doesn't deserve what you're doing to him. He was trying to help someone he thought needed help. That's not a crime." "It is when it destroys an innocent person's life." Serafina's jaw tightens. "You're not innocent, Adrian. Neither am I. But Kael is, and I won't let him burn for my mistakes. Adrian is quiet. Then he walks to the window and stares out at Manhattan spreading beneath them. Do you love him? He asks. The question catches her off guard. What? Kael Duval. Do you love him? Serafina's throat tightens. That's not... Answer the question. She closes her eyes. I don't know. Maybe. It doesn't matter. It matters to me. Why? Adrian turns to face her. His expression is unreadable. Because I spent 2 years loving you, building a life with you, and you threw it away for 3 dates with a man you barely knew. Now you're willing to sacrifice everything for someone you've known less than a month. His voice is quiet, almost gentle. I need to understand what he has that I didn't. Serafina wants to scream, wants to tell him that Kael never made her feel like she was drowning, never monitored her phone or tracked her movements or convinced her that abuse was affection. But that's not entirely true anymore, is it? Because she lied to Kael too, used him too, manipulated him into fighting battles he didn't fully understand. He made me feel safe, she says quietly. I made you safe. I took care of you, protected you. You suffocated me. I loved you. Love doesn't look like surveillance, Adrian. His expression hardens. And lying looks like what, exactly? The question hits her like a slap, because he's right. She spent weeks framing herself as the victim while conveniently leaving out the parts where she hurt him first. I'm not here to argue, she says. I'm here to give you what you want so you'll leave Kael alone. Adrian walks back to his desk, opens a drawer, pulls out a document. This is the lawsuit. 27 pages detailing every action Kael Duval took against me. Business interference, defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress. He sets it on the desk between them. It's filed, officially, as of yesterday afternoon. Serafina's stomach drops. Then withdraw it. I could, but I won't. Adrian, not unless you give me something more than an apology. Her blood runs cold. What do you want? Adrian's eyes meet hers, cold, calculating. Come back to me. The room tilts. What? Come back. Give us another chance. Let me prove that what we had was real. You're insane. Am I? Or am I just a man who refuses to lose the woman he loves to someone who's already thrown you away? Adrian's voice is calm, controlled. Kael fired you, Serafina. He kicked you out of his home. He won't even take your calls. But I'm standing here offering you everything you used to have. Security, stability, someone who actually wants you. Serafina backs toward the elevator. I'm not doing this. Then Kael Duval's empire crumbles. His reputation is destroyed. His business partners abandon him. His investors pull out. Everything he built over 15 years collapses because you weren't brave enough to make the right choice. The right choice isn't going back to someone who monitored my every move. I'll stop. No more surveillance. No more tracking. You'll have complete freedom. I don't believe you. Then don't. But ask yourself if you believe Kael Duval can survive what's coming. Because I have lawyers who specialize in destroying men like him, and unless you give me a reason to call them off, they won't stop until there's nothing left. Serafina's vision blurs. She can't breathe, can't think. The walls are closing in, and Adrian's standing there with that calm expression, and she knows that he's telling the truth. He will destroy Kael, systematically, completely, without mercy, unless she surrenders. How long? She whispers. Adrian tilts his head. What? If I come back, how long do I have to stay? Adrian's expression softens. As long as it takes to remember why you loved me in the first place. And if I never remember, then we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Serafina stares at him, at this man who twisted love into control and still believes he did nothing wrong. I need time to think, she says. You have 24 hours. After that, my lawyers proceed with full force. Chatek. Serafina stumbles out of the building into cold morning air. Her hands are shaking so badly she can barely hold her phone. She walks 3 blocks before her legs give out. She sinks onto a bench and presses her palms against her eyes. Adrian just gave her an impossible choice: sacrifice herself or watch Kael burn. Her phone buzzes. Catherine Mercer. She answers. Where are you? Catherine asks immediately. I was at Adrian's office. You did what? I tried to convince him to drop the lawsuit. Serafina, that was incredibly stupid. You can't negotiate with him alone. He'll use everything you say against you. He already is. He wants me to come back to him. Says he'll drop the lawsuit if I do. Silence. Then Catherine speaks, her voice hard. You're not seriously considering that. What choice do I have? You fight back. You file the countersuit. You expose him for what he is. And Kael gets destroyed in the process. Kael's a grown man who knew the risks when he stepped between you and Adrian. Don't insult him by treating him like someone who needs you to sacrifice yourself for his protection. Serafina's throat tightens. I can't just let him. Yes, you can, because that's what happens when you trust people. You let them make their own choices even when those choices are dangerous. I don't know if I can do that. Then you're not as strong as I thought you were. The words sting, Catherine continues. I have the countersuit ready to file. All I need is your authorization. We can do this today, right now. But you have to choose to fight instead of surrendering. Serafina closes her eyes. Images flash through her mind. Kael sitting on the kitchen counter at her eye level. Kael making her coffee at 2 a.m. Kael's pale eyes going cold when he realized she'd lied to him. She owes him nothing. He made that clear. But she owes herself something. She owes herself the chance to stop running. File it, she whispers. You're sure? No. But do it anyway. The countersuit hits the news 3 hours later. Venture capitalist Adrian Mercer accused of systematic harassment and stalking. The article details everything. The surveillance, the tracking, the testimonies from other women, Serafina's sworn statement about psychological abuse and coercive control. It's brutal, comprehensive, devastating. Adrian's phone starts ringing off the hook within minutes. Serafina knows because Catherine calls her with updates. His board is demanding a meeting. His investors are asking questions. The media is circling like sharks. What about Kael? Serafina asks. What about him? Does he know I filed? I assume so. It's all over the news. Serafina's hands shake. Has he said anything? Not to me. Why? Because I need to know if he hates me. Catherine is quiet for a moment. Do you want the truth? Yes? I think he hates that he still cares about you. The words hit harder than any insult could. Zucht. Adrian retaliates at 6 p.m. A press conference. Carefully staged. His lawyer beside him. Cameras everywhere. Serafina watches it on her phone from the hostel room. Adrian looks calm, composed, heartbroken in exactly the right way. I'm deeply saddened by these allegations, he says. Serafina Voss was someone I loved, someone I tried to help when she was struggling. The fact that she's now characterizing my concern as harassment is painful beyond words. A reporter shouts a question. What about the other women who've come forward? I can't speak to their experiences, but I can say that I've always conducted myself with integrity. If my attempts to maintain friendships with former partners made them uncomfortable, I sincerely apologize. That was never my intention. Another question. What about the surveillance allegations? Adrian's expression shifts to something that looks like genuine confusion. I have no idea what surveillance she's referring to. I've never tracked anyone, never monitored anyone's communications. These are fabrications designed to destroy my reputation. He's good. So good. He looks like the victim. Serafina watches the press conference and feels her stomach drop as she realizes Adrian is winning the public narrative. Her phone rings. Kael. Her heart stops. She answers with shaking hands. Hello? You filed a countersuit. His voice is flat, cold. Yes, without talking to me first. You wouldn't take my calls, so you decided to drag this into a public war that benefits no one except the lawyers. Serafina's eyes burn. I'm trying to protect you. I don't need your protection. I need you to stop making decisions that affect my life without my consent. Kael, do you have any idea what you just did? Adrian's lawyers are going to use this countersuit to prove their case. They're going to argue that you're unstable, vindictive, that you manipulated me into attacking him, and now you're doubling down with false allegations. They're not false. It doesn't matter if they're true or false. What matters is what a jury believes. And right now, Adrian looks like a heartbroken man being attacked by a vengeful ex and the dangerous criminal she seduced. The words cut through her. I didn't seduce you. That's how they're going to frame it. Beautiful, damaged woman. Powerful, lonely man. Classic manipulation. Serafina can't breathe. So what was I supposed to do? Let him destroy you? You were supposed to stay out of it and let me handle my own problems. I tried. I went to him. I offered to disappear. I tried to fix this by offering to go back to him. Silence. Kael's voice drops to something dangerous. Catherine told me about Adrian's offer, about you actually considering it. I was trying to save you. I don't want to be saved by someone sacrificing themselves. I want... He stops, takes a breath. I don't know what I want anymore. Serafina's vision blurs. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Stop apologizing and start thinking. Adrian is building a narrative where you're the villain, where I'm the fool who got manipulated, and every move you make without coordinating with me gives him more ammunition. Then tell me what to do. Kael is quiet for a long moment. I don't know, but whatever it is, we do it together, or we don't do it at all. Does that mean it means I'm tired of fighting battles where I don't know who's on my side. So if we're going to finish this, I need to know you're telling me everything. No more lies, no more omissions, complete truth. Serafina closes her eyes. Okay. Did you love him? Adrian. The question catches her off guard. What? When you were with him, did you love him? She wants to lie, wants to say no, wants to rewrite history into something cleaner, but she promised truth. Yes, at first, before everything got twisted. And Marcus Chen? I thought I might, but it was more about escape than actual feeling. And me? Her breath catches. I don't know, maybe. I haven't had time to figure it out. Kael is quiet. Then he speaks. Adrian's press conference was bullshit, but it worked. Public opinion is shifting in his favor, which means we need to shift it back. How? By giving them the real story, all of it, including the parts you left out. Serafina's stomach drops. You want me to admit I had an affair? That I lied? I want you to tell the truth, the whole truth, and let people decide who they believe. That will destroy my credibility. Your credibility is already gone, but honesty might earn it back. She sits on the edge of the bed with her heart hammering. When? Tomorrow. Press conference. You, me, Catherine. We lay everything out and let the chips fall where they may. Kael, I don't think I can... Yes, you can. Because the alternative is letting Adrian control the narrative forever. He ends the call. Serafina sits alone in the dim hostel room and tries to figure out if she has the courage to stand in front of cameras and confess every ugly truth she's been hiding. Dusk. The press conference is scheduled for 2 p.m. the next day. Catherine arranges everything. A conference room in a neutral hotel, cameras, reporters, lawyers present to keep things from going completely off the rails. Serafina arrives at 1:45 p.m. wearing the only professional outfit she owns. Catherine meets her in the hallway. You ready? Catherine asks. No. Good. Neither is anyone who's about to tell the truth. They enter the conference room together. Kael is already there, standing at the window in a dark suit that makes him look dangerous and controlled and absolutely certain of his own power. He turns when she enters. Their eyes meet across the room. For a moment, neither of them speaks. Then Kael crosses to where she's standing and stops close enough that she can see the exhaustion in his pale eyes. You don't have to do this, he says quietly. Yes, I do. If it gets too hard, it's already hard. But I'm doing it anyway. Something shifts in his expression. Not quite forgiveness, but maybe the beginning of understanding. The doors open. Reporters flood in. Cameras flash. Catherine steps up to the podium first. Thank you all for coming. We're here today to address the allegations and counter-allegations between Adrian Mercer and my clients. Before we begin, I want to make something very clear. This is not a trial. This is not a legal proceeding. This is simply three people telling their side of a complicated story. She steps aside. Kale moves to the podium. His presence commands the room instantly. He doesn't look nervous, doesn't look uncertain. He looks like a man who spent 15 years building an empire and won't let anyone take it from him. My name is Kyle Duval. 3 weeks ago, I learned that one of my employees was being stalked by her ex-boyfriend. I took action to protect her. Those actions included investigating Adrian Mercer, confronting him directly, and providing evidence of his behavior to his wife and business associates. His voice is calm, controlled. I don't regret those actions, but I do regret not fully understanding the situation before I acted. He steps aside. Serafina moves to the podium on shaking legs. Every camera in the room swings toward her. She grips the edges of the podium to keep her hands from shaking. My name is Serafina Voss, and I need to tell you the truth about my relationship with Adrian Mercer. She takes a breath. Adrian and I dated for 2 years. During that time, he was controlling. He monitored my phone, tracked my location, isolated me from friends, made me doubt my own sanity. Her voice wavers, but she keeps going. But I also lied to him. I had an affair. I covered it up. I manipulated situations to make myself look innocent while making him look paranoid. Murmurs ripple through the reporters. Adrian's behavior didn't start in a vacuum. It started because I gave him reasons not to trust me. And instead of being honest about my mistakes, I framed myself as a victim and him as an abuser. She can feel Kael's eyes on her. The truth is more complicated than either of us wants to admit. Adrian was controlling and manipulative, but I was also dishonest and hurtful. We destroyed each other. And when I finally left, I didn't tell the whole story to the people who tried to help me. Her hands tighten on the podium. I'm not standing here to defend Adrian. What he did after I left, the surveillance, the stalking, the harassment, that's inexcusable regardless of what I did during our relationship. But I'm standing here to say that I'm not a perfect victim. I made mistakes, big ones, and those mistakes hurt people. She looks directly at Kael. I'm sorry for lying, for manipulating, for dragging you into a war you didn't fully understand. You deserved better. She steps away from the podium. The room erupts with questions. Catherine steps forward. We're not taking questions at this time. Thank you. Kael guides Serafina out through a side door before the reporters can swarm them. Balkit. They end up in a hotel room 3 floors above the conference. Catherine paces while checking her phone. It's trending, everywhere. The honesty angle is playing well, but Adrian's team is already spinning it as manipulation. Catherine, Kael says quietly, give us a minute. Catherine looks between them, then nods and leaves. Kael and Serafina stand alone in the hotel room. For a long moment, neither speaks. Then Kael moves to the window and stares out at Manhattan. That took courage, he says. Or stupidity. I'm not sure which. Both, probably. Serafina almost laughs. Almost. What happens now? She asks. Now we wait. See how Adrian responds. See if the truth matters more than the narrative. And if it doesn't? Kael turns to face her. Then we fight anyway. Why? You could walk away. Let me deal with this alone. Protect your business. I could, but I'm not going to. Why not? Kael crosses the room until he's standing close enough that she can see the gray flecks in his pale eyes. Because when I look at you, I don't just see someone who lied. I see someone who's trying to become honest, and that's harder than staying comfortable in deception. Serafina's throat tightens. I don't deserve your forgiveness. Maybe not, but you're getting it anyway. Before she can respond, his phone rings. He glances at the screen. His expression hardens. It's my head of security. He answers, listens. His face goes absolutely white. When? Pause. How bad? Pause. Lock it down. I'm on my way. He ends the call. Serafina's stomach drops. What happened? Kael's pale eyes are ice. Someone just firebombed my flagship restaurant. 3 people injured. Building's on fire. Fire department is there, but... He doesn't finish. He doesn't have to. Adrian just escalated from legal warfare to actual violence, and nothing will ever be the same. They arrive at the restaurant 23 minutes later. Fire trucks block the street. Police barriers keep crowds at a distance. Smoke pours from shattered windows on the second floor where Kael's private dining room used to overlook the city. Serafina stands beside Kael on the sidewalk, watching flames eat through 15 years of his life. His face is absolutely blank. No emotion, no reaction, just pale eyes reflecting orange firelight while something inside him calculates damage and consequences and the precise cost of everything burning in front of him. A fire chief approaches. Late 40s, soot-streaked face, exhausted. "Mr. Duval, I'm sorry. We're doing everything we can, but the accelerant spread faster than we anticipated." "The injured?" Kael's voice is flat. "2 servers, 1 line cook, second-degree burns. They're at Mount Sinai, should recover fully. Security footage? Seized by arson investigators, but preliminary review shows a single male, late 30s, entered through the kitchen entrance at 3:47 p.m., left 60 seconds before the first explosion." Kael's jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. Description? Average height, dark coat, baseball cap, kept his face turned away from cameras. The fire chief hesitates. "Professional job, Mr. Duval. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing." Kael nods once, dismisses him with a glance. Serafina watches the fire chief walk away before speaking. "This was Adrian. I know. He's not going to stop. I know." Kael, "Not here." He turns and walks back to the car. Serafina follows. They drive in absolute silence. Kael's hands grip the steering wheel with controlled precision, but Serafina can see the tension radiating through his shoulders, the way his jaw clenches, the way his breathing has gone carefully measured. He's not calm, he's barely holding himself together. They don't go back to the penthouse. Instead, Kael drives to the Connecticut house, the one where they spent 5 days pretending the world wasn't collapsing around them. It's past midnight when they arrive. Kael parks in the gravel driveway and sits motionless behind the wheel, staring at the dark house. "3 people got hurt because of me," Serafina whispers. "No, 3 people got hurt because Adrian Mercer decided violence was an appropriate response to losing control." "It's the same thing." "It's not." Kael finally looks at her. His pale eyes are exhausted, hollow. "You didn't light that fire. You didn't hire someone to commit arson. Adrian did, and he's going to pay for it." "How?" Kael doesn't answer, just gets out of the car and walks to the house. Inside, Kael pours himself 4 fingers of whiskey and stands at the kitchen counter drinking it in silence while Serafina hovers in the doorway, not knowing what to say. "You should sleep," he finally says. "I can't." "Try anyway." "Kael, I need to think, alone. Please." The exhaustion in his voice destroys her. Serafina climbs the stairs to the guest room and lies on the bed fully clothed, staring at the ceiling. Downstairs she can hear Kael moving through the house, opening cabinets, closing doors, the soft clink of glass on wood. At some point she must sleep because she wakes to gray dawn light and the smell of coffee. She finds Kael in the same position as last night, standing at the kitchen counter, still wearing yesterday's clothes, looking like he hasn't moved in 8 hours. "Did you sleep?" she asks. "No." "Kael, I've been thinking about my sister." The statement stops her. Kael's never talked about his sister. Not really. Just that one conversation weeks ago when he mentioned she died escaping their father. "What about her?" Serafina asked carefully. Kael stares into his coffee cup. "Her name was Elena. She was 2 years younger than me. Smart, funny, strong in ways I didn't understand until it was too late." His voice is flat, empty. "Our father was the kind of man who used love as a weapon. He'd tell us he was protecting us while destroying us piece by piece. Sound familiar?" Serafina's throat tightens. By the time Elena was 17, she'd stopped eating regularly, stopped sleeping, stopped being the person she used to be. And I was too busy trying to survive myself to notice how bad it had gotten. He sets down his coffee cup with careful precision. "She died 3 weeks after her 19th birthday. Overdose. Everyone said it was accidental, but I knew better. She left a note, 1 sentence. 'I'm tired of being afraid.'" Serafina's eyes burn. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. It was 20 years ago. I've had time to process it." Kael finally looks at her. But what I haven't processed is the guilt. Because I escaped. I left her behind, told myself she'd be fine, that she was strong enough to handle him alone. You were a kid yourself. I was old enough to know better, old enough to realize that leaving her there was the same as killing her myself. That's not true, isn't it? His pale eyes are sharp, accusing. I chose survival over protection, just like I chose to throw you out instead of listening when you needed me to hear you. The comparison hit Serafina like a physical blow. That's different. How? You lied to me. Elena lied to me. Both of you were trying to survive situations you couldn't control. And both times I reacted by abandoning you when you needed me most. Kael, you didn't abandon me. You protected yourself. That's different. Is it? The question hangs between them. Serafina crosses the kitchen and stops close enough to touch him, but doesn't. Your sister made a choice, she says quietly. A terrible choice. But it was hers. You didn't make it for her. Just like Adrian making the choice to burn down your restaurant isn't my fault. We can't control what broken people do when they're desperate. Kael's hands tighten on the counter edge. Then what can we control? How we respond. Whether we let their brokenness break us too. Kael is quiet for a long moment. Then he speaks. I'm going to destroy him. The statement is calm, controlled, absolutely certain. What? Adrian Mercer. I'm going to take everything he has. His business, his reputation, his freedom. All of it. Serafina's stomach drops. Kael, if you go after him now, you'll look like you're retaliating. I don't care how it looks. He burned down my restaurant, injured my staff, crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. His pale eyes are cold, lethal. I've been playing defense since this started, reacting to his moves, trying to be strategic and careful. I'm done with that. What are you going to do? Kael reaches for his phone, makes a call. It's me. I need everything you have on Adrian Mercer. Financial records, communication logs, every piece of evidence we've collected over the past 3 weeks. Yes, all of it. No, I don't care about legal exposure, because I'm done playing nice. He ends the call and looks at Serafina. You should leave, go back to the city. Stay with Catherine, because what I'm about to do is going to get ugly, and I don't want you anywhere near it. I'm not leaving. Serafina, you just spent 10 minutes telling me you regret abandoning people. You think I'm going to abandon you now? This isn't your fight. Yes, it is. Adrian burned down your restaurant because of me, because I filed that countersuit, because I stood at that press conference and told the truth. Her voice hardens. You don't get to protect me from consequences I helped create. Kael stares at her. Something shifts in his expression. Not quite acceptance, but maybe the beginning of it. If you stay, he says quietly, you see everything, the good, the bad, the parts of me that aren't controlled or careful or safe. I'm not afraid of you. Maybe you should be. I've been afraid my whole life. I'm tired of it. Kael holds her gaze for a long moment. Then he nods once. Okay, then we do this together. Okay. What follows is 48 hours of systematic destruction. Kael's investigators deliver files. Financial records showing Adrian's companies are leveraged to the breaking point. Communication logs proving he hired the arsonist. Testimony from business associates willing to testify about illegal practices. Catherine coordinates with federal prosecutors. SEC violations. Wire fraud. Arson conspiracy. The evidence builds like an avalanche. On the third day, FBI agents show up at Adrian's office with a warrant. Serafina watches it on the news from Kael's Connecticut house. Adrian being let out in handcuffs. His expensive suit wrinkled. His perfect hair messed. His face absolutely blank. He looks small, powerless, human. And Serafina feels nothing. No satisfaction, no relief. Just exhaustion that tastes like ashes. Kael stands beside her watching the same footage. His expression is controlled, but she can see the tension in his shoulders. It's over, he says quietly. Is it? The legal part, yes. Adrian will be in federal custody pending trial. His companies are collapsing. His reputation is destroyed. Kael's voice is flat. Everything I set out to do is done. Then why don't you sound happy? Kael is quiet for a long moment. Because I just spent 3 weeks becoming the kind of man I promised myself I'd never be. Ruthless, vindictive, willing to destroy someone completely because they threatened what was mine. He deserved it. Maybe. But that doesn't mean I should have enjoyed it. Serafina turns to look at him directly. Did you? Enjoy it? Kael meets her eyes. More than I want to admit. The honesty cuts through her. They stand together in the Connecticut living room while the news cycles through footage of Adrian's arrest, and Serafina realizes something fundamental has shifted. This isn't a victory. It's just survival with casualties. Buzzin'. 1 week later, Catherine calls with news. Adrian's lawyer's offering a plea deal. He'll plead guilty to arson, conspiracy, and financial fraud, serve 5 to 7 years. In exchange, he drops all civil suits against you and Kael. Serafina sits on the edge of Kael's guest bed processing this. What about the stalking charges? Included in the deal, he pleads to harassment, gets a permanent restraining order, can't contact you ever again. And if I don't accept, then it goes to trial. Could take years, cost millions, no guarantee of outcome. Serafina closes her eyes. What do you think I should do? Catherine is quiet for a moment. I think you should ask yourself what you want. Justice, revenge, closure, because those are 3 different things. What's the difference? Justice is a courtroom. Revenge is making him suffer. Closure is moving on with your life. Catherine's voice softens. Only you know which one matters most. Serafina thinks about Adrian in federal custody, about the man who spent 2 years controlling her, about the monster who burned down Kael's restaurant and still somehow convinced himself he was the victim. I want him to understand what he did wrong, she whispers. I want him to actually feel remorse. That's not something a courtroom can give you. Then what can? Time, distance, your own healing. Whether or not Adrian ever understands what he did is his problem, not yours. The truth of that settles over Serafina like a weight lifting. Tell his lawyer we accept the deal. You're sure? Yes. Catherine ends the call with a promise to send paperwork. Serafina sits alone in the guest room and feels something that might be the beginning of actual peace. She finds Kael in this kitchen making dinner. Actual dinner. Pasta and vegetables and sauce that smells like something made with care instead of efficiency. Catherine called, she says. I know, she called me too. Kael doesn't look up from chopping garlic. You took the deal. Yes. Good. Are you okay with that? Kael sets down the knife and finally looks at her. It's your choice, not mine. But you spent 3 weeks destroying him. To protect you. To stop him from hurting anyone else. Not because I needed him to suffer. Kael's pale eyes hold hers. If you're satisfied with the outcome, then I'm satisfied. Serafina crosses to the counter and leans against it. I don't know if I'm satisfied. I just know I'm tired of fighting. That's fair. They stand together while pasta water boils and evening light slants through the windows. What happens now? Serafina asks. Now we figure out what normal looks like. Do you even know what that is? Kael almost smiles. Almost. No, but I'm willing to learn if you are. They eat dinner at the small kitchen table like normal people doing normal things. The conversation is careful, surface level. They talk about the restaurant rebuild, about Serafina's plans to re-enroll in her graduate program, about weather and books, and nothing that requires emotional vulnerability. It's comfortable in a way that feels fragile. After dinner, Kael pours wine and they move to the living room, sit on opposite ends of the couch with careful distance between them. Can I ask you something? Serafina says. Yes. That first night in your kitchen, when you found me crying, why did you help me? Kael swirls wine in his glass. Because you looked like Elena, not physically, but in the way you moved, like someone who'd learned to make herself small to survive. And that was enough? To make you care? No, but it was enough to make me pay attention. The caring came later. When? Kael is quiet for a long moment. When I realized you weren't looking for someone to save you. You were looking for someone to stand beside you while you saved yourself. Serafina's throat tightens. I didn't save myself. You did most of the work. I provided resources. You provided courage. Those aren't the same thing. They sit in silence while firelight flickers across the walls. Eventually, Serafina speaks again. I don't know how to do this. Do what? Whatever this is? Between us? I don't know if it's gratitude or dependency or actual feeling. Kyle sets down his wine glass. Then we figure it out. Slowly. Without pressure. Without expectations. What if I never figure it out? Then we stay friends. Or we don't. But we make that choice from a place of clarity instead of trauma. The simplicity of it almost makes her cry. You make it sound easy. It's not, but it's possible. Iktits. 3 months pass. Serafina moves into a small apartment in Brooklyn. 1 bedroom, affordable. Hers. She re-enrolls in her graduate program, starts writing her thesis again. This time she knows exactly what she's writing about because she's lived it. Kyle rebuilds his restaurant. Better security. Better systems. Better everything. They see each other twice a week. Coffee on Wednesdays, dinner on Sundays. Sometimes they talk about the past. Sometimes they don't. It's not romance. It's not friendship. It's something in between that doesn't have a name yet. On a cold Tuesday in February, Serafina gets a letter. Prison stationery. Adrian's handwriting. Her hands shake as she opens it. Inside is a single page. Serafina, I'm writing this from a place I never imagined I'd be. Federal prison. Cell block C. Sharing space with men who committed crimes I used to read about in newspapers and think, I'm nothing like them. But I am like them. That's what I've been learning. My therapist here says I have narcissistic personality disorder. That I genuinely believed my behavior was justified because I loved you. That I couldn't distinguish between protection and control. I don't know if that's true. Or if it's just another excuse. What I do know is that I hurt you. Systematically, intentionally. I convinced myself I was helping when I was destroying. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I wanted you to know that I finally understand what I did wrong. You weren't something to be fixed or controlled or owned. You were a person, with autonomy, with the right to make your own choices even when those choices hurt me. I'm sorry. For everything. I hope you find peace. Adrian Serafina reads the letter 3 times. Then she folds it carefully and puts it in a drawer. She doesn't respond, doesn't need to. Because Adrian's understanding doesn't change what happened, doesn't undo the damage, doesn't make her life easier. It's just information, and she gets to decide what to do with it. That Sunday she shows the letter to Kyle over dinner. He reads it in silence, then sets it down on the table between them. How do you feel? He asks. I don't know. Part of me wants to believe he means it. Part of me thinks it's just another manipulation. Both can be true. How? People contain multitudes. Adrian can genuinely feel remorse while still being the kind of person who hurt you in the first place. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. Serafina absorbs this. Do you think he'll change? Actually change? Kyle is quiet for a moment. I think he'll try. Whether he succeeds is up to him. But either way, it's not your responsibility to monitor his progress or validate his growth. Then what is my responsibility? To yourself, your healing, your future. They sit together while dinner grows cold and snow falls outside the windows. I've been thinking, Serafina says slowly, about us, about what this is. Kyle goes very still. And? I think I'm ready to figure it out, if you are. What changed? Serafina looks at him directly. At this man who protected her when she needed protection and pushed her when she needed pushing and somehow managed to be exactly what she needed without losing himself in the process. I realized I don't need you anymore, which means if I choose you, it's actually a choice. Kale's expression shifts, something that might be hope or might be fear. And are you choosing me? Serafina reaches across the table and takes his hand. His fingers close gently around hers. Yes, she says, I am. Spring comes slowly to New York. Serafina defends her thesis in April. Her committee calls it the most honest examination of coercive control they've read in years. Kyle's restaurant reopens in May. The first night is sold out. Critics call it better than before. They don't move in together, don't rush into labels or commitments or anything that feels like replacing one form of dependency with another. They just exist together, learning each other slowly, building something that looks like trust from the ground up. On a warm June evening, they're walking through Central Park when Serafina's phone rings. Catherine. Adrian's being released early. Good behavior. Parole in 3 months. Serafina's steps slow. Cale notices immediately. What's wrong? She tells him. His expression hardens. Do you want me to... No, I don't want you to do anything. Serafina. He served his time. He's going to be on parole. Restraining order is still active. There's nothing more to do. What if he contacts you? Then I report it to his parole officer and he goes back to prison. She looks up at Kyle. I'm not afraid of him anymore. That's what 3 months of therapy and actually processing trauma does. Cale studies her face carefully. You're sure? Yes. They continue walking. Eventually Cale speaks again. I'm proud of you. The words hit her harder than any grand declaration could. Why? Because 3 months ago you would have panicked, asked me to handle it, made yourself small. He stops walking and turns to face her. Now you're standing here telling me you can handle it yourself. That's growth. Serafina's eyes burn. I couldn't have done it without you. Yes, you could have. You just would have taken longer. She reaches up and touches his face. This man who kneeled in a kitchen to meet her at eye level, who destroyed an empire to protect her, who somehow managed to care without controlling. I love you, she says. The words hang between them. Kyle goes very still. You don't have to say that. I know, but I want to. Why? Because it's true, and because I finally know the difference between loving someone and needing them. Kyle's pale eyes search her face. Then he pulls her close and kisses her, slow, intentional, chosen. Not out of desperation or gratitude or fear. Just love. Simple and complicated and absolutely real. 1 year later. Serafina stands in the kitchen of Kyle's penthouse at 11:47 p.m. Not cleaning, not hiding, not afraid, just making tea while Kyle works late in his study. The kitchen still smells like lemon cleaner. The marble counters still gleam. The city still glows 42 floors below. But everything else has changed. Kyle enters carrying paperwork and looking exhausted. Still working? She asks. Always. He crosses to where she's standing and wraps an arm around her waist. What are you doing up? Couldn't sleep. Thought tea might help. And? It's not helping, but the company is nice. Kale kisses the top of her head. They stand together in the kitchen where this whole story started, where a frightened woman once stood alone trying not to cry, where a dangerous man once asked a simple question that changed everything. No more ghosts in this house, Kyle says quietly. Serafina leans into him. No more ghosts, she agrees. Outside, Manhattan spreads beneath them in a sea of lights. Millions of people living millions of stories, some beautiful, some broken, most somewhere in between. Inside the kitchen on the 42nd floor, 2 people who survived their own destruction stand together in the amber light. They don't have all the answers, don't know how the future will unfold, don't pretend that trauma disappears just because you name it, but they have each other, and they have choice, real choice, the kind that comes from actually being free instead of just pretending. Serafina finishes her tea and sets the cup in the sink. Kale takes her hand and leads her out of the kitchen toward the bedroom. The lights stay on. The city keeps glowing. And somewhere in federal prison, Adrian Mercer stares at his ceiling and tries to understand how love without control is even possible. But that's his story to figure out. This one belongs to Serafina, and it ends the way all good stories should, with her choosing herself, and choosing someone who chose her back, not because she needed saving, but because she deserved to be seen, actually seen, for exactly who she was. Flawed, honest, surviving, human.